I hear you.
Or hear ya. Or heard.
Hello. I had faith all along. That would have brought back that would have brought back nightmares for me. You're muted? I hear you just fine. Are we all muted? I'm trying to fucking how do I do this? I wanna just God damn it. You do not stop that. You do not suck. Hey guys, welcome to Cat's stream, guys. This is a really
What's wrong?
it's literally just me. Okay.
Blah,
Alright,
blah, blah.
Cat's
Something.
working on it, guys. I could hear them. I'm trying to I'm trying to make it so I could just see the chat.
That's weird. Is your mic, like, in the right spot?
It's obviously.
Because sometimes it does that where, like, in my OBS, it'll just put it to some
Is
random
it this one? Okay,
bunch of
I
numbers.
see green bars
Epic.
now. You guys should be able to hear me.
Okay.
All right. OBS does funny things sometimes. Can
Yeah.
only hear Gary. It shows that it's picking up Andy's voice for me too. So
Hello?
I'm
Hello?
it's definitely picking her up.
Howdy?
Wait, let's do this.
Hello? Am I quiet? Do I need to be really close? What?
I don't know. I hear you.
Can only hear me still? Wait, what?
Why? Why? Why
What is
is it
happening?
not
Wait a second.
working?
I'm gonna pull up Cat Stream.
Did Worm sabotage something?
All right, I have Lethal Jackson saying it, everybody can be heard now. I see some people saying that everybody
Okay.
can be heard now. Okay. Yay, we figured it out. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
I swear.
All right.
I literally can
Hold on.
change nothing, go to bed for the night, turn the stream back on, and it's broken.
Yeah.
I don't
Yep.
understand
I had the
why.
same thing.
Not even a
Sometimes that
clue.
reboot? It's just
happens. I'll
every time I shut
it'll
my
just be
computer
my
off, it
computer and it automatically goes to sleep.
My computer
happens.
sometimes, I'll like it will just turn itself on and then start streaming. It's done that before, and I don't know why.
Horrifying, actually.
That
That
is
is terrible,
horrifying.
terribly horrifying. Yes,
That's fucked up.
All
but
right.
luckily, no one was around, so it was fine. It was only for like 20 minutes, but I was like, "What the fuck? How am I streaming right now?" Yeah. It also
Oops.
records randomly. I've had to delete a
Mhm.
few of just nothing for hours. Don't know why it does that. It is creepy though.
You
Computer
need to run
ghost, says
some
Diana. Yeah, basically. All right, now that all of the technical difficulties have been solved, I
We're
know
ready.
many people already know who we all are, but just for the fun of there being a possibly new person that doesn't know, we'll go ahead and introduce ourselves. I'm Kat. I stream here and on Twitch, and I also stream on YouTube. I play Polly from the Dark Carnival. I do Squishy Bit Sunday every Sunday. And then I have two wonderful people who also play on Doug with me. And I'll let you guys decide which one goes first. You can introduce yourselves. We'll make Gary
okay,
go first. We'll
I'm
make Bonk go first.
Bonker Ton. Yes, I play Gary. Hey guys, on Doug. And also Carl, but I haven't been Carl in a really long time. But yeah, I mostly just stream DayZ and The Last of Us and a few other random games, but I've been mostly DayZ lately. And
Nice.
that's me.
And I am Andy Andromeda Starry. I have played on Doug for a very long time. I took a break for a couple years, came back. I'm currently playing Ember, the historian. Sort of a lore master character because I know a lot of stuff about all the stuff that's gone on. in the past, but I stream Doug on occasion. I mostly stream Red Dead, or have in the past. I play other characters of varying types on several servers. So, and also sometimes I just chill and stream whatever. Lately, it's been like a game about digging a hole and like chill stuff.
It was a good vibe, that game, actually.
It is.
Yeah, I was into it.
So yeah, and we're talking about character development today.
Yep.
It's a huge topic because there's a lot to
I made a
character
I made a
development.
beastly outline for it as well.
It is a lot.
We'll probably
and it's probably
pick and
not
choose
even
through it.
exhaustive, to be honest. Like there's
There's a
much
lot to
character
talk about,
development.
yeah. We touched on it a little bit in the last episode when we were talking with Waldorf about character creation, but it really deserved its own episode entirely. And I couldn't think of a better person right now than Bonk, because I've enjoyed the Gary saga so much, and I think he's had a crazy development going on and is still
Yeah.
going on. And I was like, hey, you know what? We should have Bonk on. It would be a fun time. And he agreed. So thanks for that.
Of course. I'm very happy to be here.
Well, the
I think
first.
this is a great idea for a show, honestly.
Oh, yay. I thought so too. That's why I kind of sort of kindly pressured Andy and Jackie into getting it going on Doug. They were doing it somewhere else, and I watched it all the time when they were doing
we were
it.
doing it for Red Dead
Oh,
stuff.
really?
But,
Oh, that's awesome.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Kat was like, you should do that for
Yeah.
Doug.
I was like, I think we should do that for Doug. And then I somehow ended up being a part of it, and I was like, okay. That's
Well, you were the one that what do you mean?
I know,
You were
but
the one
it's
that
your
asked.
idea. You made it.
Let's air this
I
out,
just-
guys.
We don't own RP.
Let's air the grievances right now. Work this out.
All right.
Work it out.
We worked it
I
out.
like. All right, good.
So, first on the docket is just a general idea of what development means for everybody, and what the differences are between creating your character and then developing your character. I kind of feel like because you could use the word development for both, honestly. You could develop a character, and that is sort of creating a character. But in terms of role playing something, we kind of mean it as like once the bones of your character are there, the development is the meat. I learned the saying from Teddick, if you're watching. He said that so profoundly. He's like, I just give the bones and you guys gotta put in the meat. And I feel like that's such a good saying to
It's pretty
apply to
good.
it.
It's a good metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
Love a good metaphor.
Yes. And while having a great character ready to go is really important, I think working on development and taking the time to think about where your story's going makes the characters all the more interesting and more fun to role play with, and also just more fun to play. If you're not static and you're continuing to change and develop and let stuff change you over time, then I personally think it just becomes more fun. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, it's very good to let the things that happen to your character develop them in whatever way that is. I like to during character creation, I'm like, I can kind of start thinking about how they could develop based on their personality as is. So I have had a couple of static characters that are just what they are, and that's where they're at, and they're not going to develop. Usually my older characters are pretty set in their ways, and they're just kind of there. And they're fun to play too. But it is a lot more satisfying to have a character develop over time, depending on what happens to them. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Gary, he just started as a voice, pretty much. I had no idea, like, what I wanted to do with him. But I don't know. It seemed in my mind like he'd be like a pretty passive character, but it's been kind of fun having all this shit happen to him that kind of makes him lean a little darker. So yeah, it is. I don't know. It's pretty interesting letting stories kind of shape your character. But yeah, there was never like a set, I don't know, way that I wanted to run with Gary. It was kind of let things, dictate
Just let it
how he
happen.
is. Yeah,
Just let it happen, Gary.
yeah. It's been fun though.
And doing that has given us one of the most beloved storylines of the last
Oh
couple
yeah,
years.
it's going
I
in the
feel
history
like
books for
it's
sure.
definitely in the history books. I have not heard a single person that has not enjoyed it or been like, "Oh, that was silly" or "That was dumb." Everybody that I've talked to is like, Gary's awesome. We love that story." And it's all
Yeah,
because you were just like, instead of fighting it, you were just like, I'm gonna let this happen and see where it goes. And
yeah.
I think a really good lesson to be learned from how you play and how you role play is you will purposely put yourself in situations that you know are gonna get you into trouble, but you just do
Well,
it anyway.
you need the content, you know. So
The
Gary,
Yes,
content.
the
yeah,
content.
yeah. Gary's very he's very he's very not smart, I guess. He's not very bright. So he puts himself in a lot of stupid situations, but
Sometimes that's the
it ends
best
up
way to
being pretty
be.
funny. Yeah, yeah, you know. Yeah, he
I
thought he
think Ember's like that in a different way.
yeah,
Like she's still smart, but she's also got a job to do with her history stuff and like finding stories.
yeah,
So she'll go out of her way to be like, I could get away from this situation right now, but I also want to know more, so I need to, present myself to whatever is happening. So less dumb, but still, putting yourself out there in situations that most people, especially in this context, and Doug, where it's like an apocalypse and you can't trust anyone.
yeah, exactly.
Um, you know, but yeah, that's it. Yeah, I do think Gary has a definite streak of I don't even know what to call it, just like
Yeah, well, at one point, like,
reckless abandon.
yeah, I went to like hiding from the clowns, and then I'm like I'm streaming myself on the beach, just like sitting there. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? I gotta like put myself out there a little more. So yeah, you can't play it exactly like you would, I guess, in an apocalypse. Um, but yeah,
I
Yeah,
I think both of your characters are a good example of like you play consistently similar, like you have a personality and you're consistent with it, but you also are adaptable and like I think having a good balance of being consistent but also being flexible is what like the two main ingredients are for really developing something. It's like Gary
yeah,
is Gary and Ember's Ember all the time, and yet you each put yourself in positions where you have to kind of bend a little bit, and then that's where you grow, and that's where things
yeah.
change.
yeah,
It helps to have motivations to be able to do that, though. So that's
Yeah,
good to have.
for sure.
I mean, I think Gary's is just his personality. He just gets all
Yeah.
antsy and he's like, "I've got to go, I'm a journalist. I got to go do something."
yeah, exactly. Well,
Uh,
that's how you justify it. You know,
yeah, justify it.
he's
You
got
can
to get the
justify anything
story.
with that.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Which is
He's
it's
got to
good.
get the scoop.
Got to get the
Yeah,
scoop,
yeah,
man.
yeah. He's always got to be in the middle of it.
Well, to kind of go move on because we do have a lot of stuff that I like I said we probably won't cover everything, but letting those events and letting those interactions change and shape things, I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about some of the character arcs and just kind of give an idea of direction if you're thinking about how to develop your character. We actually had an interesting conversation that sort of related to this actually with someone in the Roleplay 101 Discord, where they were talking about how they both in character and out of character seem to be kind of in a dilemma with what their character's morals were and what they really wanted to do. And I think the like general consensus was to try and just channel it all into an in character story and have some kind of arc, whether it be a positive arc or a negative arc. Just tell people this dilemma, go out and about and find them and tell them about it. And I kind of like I'm kind of partial to negative character arcs, but I love a good
Yeah,
redemption arc too, where somebody starts off bad and they have like, they learn and they grow and they become better people. I kind of like corruption. Um
yeah,
but I think that's personal to people and how they want to go. Did you guys, when I feel like I already have an idea of what I want to do before I even start playing, of what kind of arc and what kind of story I want to tell. Do you guys do that, or is it just ongoing and developing for you guys?
Um, I mean, I never really had a specific arc in mind.
What's that
Not at
look?
least. No, I wasn't sure if I ever wanted to go before, maybe. Uh, but no, not until I met the clowns that I started really thinking about stuff like that. Like Gary's kind of like downfall into being an evil character or something like that. But no, I never really. Gary was always just kind of winging it, you know. But I would like to see him maybe go the evil route at some point. I think that could be pretty interesting.
Me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
I'm not biased at all about that either.
yeah, not at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, when I think about that, I don't necessarily have like a set plan because it is still organic role play. Obviously, you don't know what's going to happen to your character. But I do have like it's like in my head I have these branching like possibilities.
Mhm.
Um so it's like like if this happens, if she, experiences this emotion or this hardship, she might go this way or that way. If she loses someone, if she, gains a alliance or a friendship, or if she, you know finds love or whatever it is, like there's like branches in my head of like, okay, if this happens, then she might go a little more this way, or if this happens, they might go a little more this way. That's just how I think about it, uh, with every character that I've had, really. It's just, I don't know. It's like the quantum, I don't know, way of doing it is like every possibility is there.
Yeah.
And I have like an idea based on who my character is, where they will go, but it will, at the time at which whatever event happens, it's up to me to be like, okay, she's going to steer this way or they're going to steer this way. Like at the time, it's however I'm feeling that would be best for the story. Um, so yeah, that's how I do it.
I
Kind
think
of in
that's good
between.
though. Having like branches so you kind of like all these possibilities so you kind of know
Yeah.
what you would do in certain situations instead of
Yeah.
just
I feel like
And
that's kind of what
also,
I do too. It's like a tree, and
yeah.
it just depends on what branch I land on.
Yep. And where your character is at in that moment, because if
Mm-hmm.
they're having like a really rough week and they've had this happen and that final thing happens that breaks the camel's back, and then they just veer off into that branch, like it just
yeah.
depends. And also how you're feeling as a player, like how you want to play it. If you're like, I don't want to be a bad guy right now, I just want to be good, or it's too hard to be good right now, I just want to go shoot someone, like it just depends on where you're feeling, when depending on how you're feeling when whatever happens. So
Yeah.
that's the more organic like part of it. But yeah.
I think that kind of delved into my next talking point that I had on the outline, which was just the some examples of the different types of development that you can have. Like I have internal versus external, and you were kind of talking about that. The combination, honestly, you're like, it depends on what her mindset is, and then what the thing happen, what thing happens to
Yeah.
her, and yeah, I I agree with that a lot. And I think that's the most realistic. Like, that's what happens in real life with real people.
Oh, yeah.
If you're in a negative mindset, if you've had a horrible week, if you're beat down, you're going to react to stuff differently than if you were having a great day.
Yeah.
So it's, I think for people that have been role playing a long time, it comes naturally, but I don't feel like that was inherently something I was good at right away. Um, I think when I started out, I had this kind of rigid idea of what my character was, and I had to get better at that over time, identifying how would this crazy cuckoo lady actually feel? Does she care about anything or not? I play very extreme characters, but I could see that somebody like Gary probably has a more grounded idea of, and Ember, a more grounded idea of how they're going to feel about certain things, whereas me, I play these characters where I sometimes am still not sure if they actually care about something or if that would even really affect them. And I have a lot of doubt and like hindsight, and I'll look back on stuff all the time and be like, maybe that's not how she really would have been. But it's
Yeah.
too late now. So you just
Yeah.
keep on keeping on.
Yep. Yeah, that's a wonderful like the things that you do for just your character, like the internal stuff of like how does this person feeling right now? How are they taking what's just happened to them? Like having those sort of like moments of thought where you're just like thinking about it, you're like how would I respond to this, or how would my character respond to this, I should say. Like that exercise is something that I think really helps in character development. It is a skill because sometimes you're just reacting to things and you're not really thinking about, the story or what, your character might actually be feeling. You're just reacting as yourself, which is something that a lot of new RPers do is they just react as themselves, and that's just, what it is. But reacting differently than yourself is the thing that really like I wouldn't necessarily react the same way that Ember would react to a situation, because we're different. But developing that skill of like knowing and being in your character is a wonderful thing to have for storytelling. Um, as far as external, like having things happen to you, that's mostly up to everyone else. Unless you're specifically like going, like your person has a goal, or if something happens where outwardly you will have like a physical change, or you can, I don't know, do something externally to kind of clue people more in to what is happening with your character. um that's like external for me, is changing your outfit, changing what colors you wear, changing your behavior a little bit, like stuff like that, to kind of is like the external that people sort of catch into, but maybe they wouldn't know the internal like mental problems that you're having, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like most of what I react to is like myself. I'm still kind of struggle with that, I guess. Like I just try to like I guess access the passive side of me with Gary, but I feel like I'm learning more just listening to you guys talk because I'm still pretty new with RP in general.
Well, you're doing great.
You
Well,
are.
thank you.
I
I
love
appreciate it.
interacting with Gary. He's fun.
Yeah. Well, you two are two of my favorite characters for sure,
Oh,
especially Polly, because I
liar.
never know if I'm gonna die. No, I genuinely I love being around Ember too, because it's like a lore.
It's lore
You know.
dumps for
Yeah,
Ember if you get the chance to sit down with her
it
at
is great.
any point.
Yeah, if you are curious
Yeah.
about the
I
lore of
think
the
that's
server,
probably the most favorite thing that a character can do for me is be a lore master. I love that stuff because there's so many stories over 11 years time. And if there is anybody that knows these old stories and they can tell them over a good campfire, I love to hear that kind of stuff in game and see those stories live on because I mean, we've had a lot of really great stories and a lot of great role players come and go, but their legacy somehow gets to live on because of people and characters like Ember who are still telling their story word of mouth. Just like in
Yep.
real life, where
And I'm
people
making a
didn't have
document. I
books,
have
people
a
didn't have
big
writing, they
ass
just
document.
told them around the fire. They told them from person to person, and I
Yeah.
like that. I think those characters are very needed and wanted. So I'm glad that somebody does it.
Yeah, I'm always glad when I find a character on Ember who's been around a while, and I'm like, ooh, I need to learn all the things.
Tell me
Tell
the
me everything,
things.
please.
Yes.
I mean, I've done a fair amount of it already because Ember's technically been around for a few years, um, but she also has her own internal struggles with some things that I can't disclose at this time.
uh-oh.
But she has her own things going on too.
Yeah.
But she prioritizes her work over everything because that's just who she is. But yeah, it's fun to do.
And you mentioned
How hard is it to like? Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead. I want you to go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, how hard is it to separate stuff that you learned as a previous character when doing when playing Ember? Because obviously you know a lot of
Um,
lore from
I do.
pre-Ember.
The thing is, this is the part that so I sort of built into her backstory some things that allows her to know a lot of things. Um,
That's smart.
I can't really say because it's
Yeah,
spoilers.
no, don't.
But I have built in something that, and no one's ever really asked why she knows some of the things that she knows. But I mean, the answer is out there. I will say that.
Ooh,
It has been documented.
I'm
But
intrigued.
I built that in. So everything
Yeah,
that when I don't make characters that, wouldn't know the things that they would know realistically. Um, so I sort of just built that in. So I mean, I don't know things that like Kaylee would have known necessarily.
yeah,
I mean, I'm just really practiced at it. I just know what my character knows and doesn't know. I know that in the Discord people were talking about how to do that, and some people take notes and be like, this is what I learned today, and this is
yeah,
what this person knows, that kind of a thing, and just taking notes, and then before you get on for the next session, like going over your notes and be like, okay, this is what I know. That kind of a thing.
yeah.
So
That's probably a good idea because a lot of times I don't even remember what I learned in character and what I
take
learned
notes.
from
Or
Discord.
watch
Yeah,
your stream back or whatever, however you do it. Just
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I do that
yeah,
too. I often will rewatch the stream. I'll skip through to the important bits and just kind of refresh my memory on what happened. Like before, I'll go ahead and just spoil a little bit. Before I initiated doing anything with Maybe, and making that poster and stuff about Maybe, I first learned that she existed from somebody. But then I remembered I actually knew she existed already because Gary told us about it really
no, you
early
didn't.
on.
That's
And
a
I was
lie.
like, I didn't imagine that, right? And I actually went back on my VOD and I sat through the whole, like, we were on the radio and I waited for that moment that I was sure happened where he straight up told us about Maybe. And I was like, I got it. Okay. I know
I'm
she
good.
exists. I
I'm
can
Gary,
do
covered.
this now.
uh,
Sometimes you just like if you're not sure and you have a way to make yourself sure, it's always better to be 100% sure in my opinion before you do stuff like that because I've never actually met her in game. Polly does not has never been face to face with her, so I was
wow,
like if I do anything with Maybe, I better be damn sure that I actually
yeah,
know. And so
Yeah.
that's so
I'm a
funny.
person that will go back and I will triple check what has happened so that I
Yeah.
can go in with a good conscience.
Yeah, Gary's been doing that a lot lately, apparently, blowing up people's
He's
stuff.
kind of a blabbermouth, I'm not gonna lie.
I didn't even realize that
A
wasn't
little
even
bit.
intentional. I think that's more me than Gary.
No,
I
I was
mean, yeah.
cracking up laughing the other day. I was watching Worm stream and you said your like exact location almost. Which and then I and Tedic has this
Yeah,
thing where
Whoopsie.
he will be on the radio and you'd be like, "What's your exact location?" And nobody ever
yeah.
tells him. So I told him after the fact, I'm like, "You won't believe this." He actually basically gave an exact
Yeah,
location.
Gary has a weird sense of trust now with the clowns. I think he feels very safe, which I don't know if that's a good idea, but that's how he feels. He feels like he doesn't have anything to worry about anymore, which would be interesting to watch. If that's actually the case.
I don't know. Conflict and struggle is a major way to push a story and develop a story. And in every book you read, in every movie, there's some kind of conflict, there's some kind of thing that the character has to overcome, and that's mainly what makes the story. And I'm thinking about what you said, where you're like, you're feeling kind of like lost now without that conflict. Like, what do I do
Yeah,
now? And
yeah, it's
it
true
yeah,
though.
and it's making me think about like, yeah, if I'm not out there creating the conflict or stumbling upon it or making, something happen, then I also feel lost and like I'm just wandering without purpose. I guess that's my motivations are sometimes very basic with my character, and it can be hard at times to fulfill that motivation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I don't play very often. So another tip I can give people if they're looking to develop a character is you can't necessarily plan things, especially not on Doug, because
Yeah.
plans go awry and a lot of other
All the
people
time.
have their own plans and their decisions are going to affect yours. But I always have an idea of what I want to go after when I do sit down to play, and that kind of helps. I'm like, okay, today this is what I want to push. I want to push this arc with Polly. I want to push this funny thing with this other clown. This stuff they've got. I want to assist with that. I just kind of go in with what do I actually want to do with my game time, because Doug is a time intensive game
Yes.
and
Yeah.
wandering around Lost isn't necessarily fun for me. So
Yeah.
I've
No.
got to find ways to make it fun for myself. And I
But I also
mean,
think that's what makes Polly and just your characters in general so important, because those pushing those goals and motivations are like what creates story. Like I know so many people, especially newer RPers, are just sort of sitting waiting for something to happen. Um and it's the people that are like going out and looking and having those goals and motivations to like move things along. Like
Yeah.
we need more people like that in RP in general, I think.
We need more
Like yes,
evil,
it can be
psychotic
organic,
people.
but you can also be pushing your own your character goals for sure.
I think
Yeah.
another thing that I talked about in the Roleplay 101 Discord when we were talking about like in character and out of character morals and like what do I actually want to do with this character and who do I really want them to be. I also talked a little bit about playing within a group and developing your character, because there's some politics involved with playing in a group. And I mentioned that I really enjoy the type of stories that develop from people playing not as a hive mind where everybody agrees on the approach and everybody agrees on how the group is going to operate and what everyone should do.
Absolutely.
I think
Mhm.
those characters that disagree and are contrarian are also really important and healthy for group play and factions. I think that having that inner group role play happen and that inner group story happen is really cool. And
Yeah.
like, I mean, a personal example that I can think of is how Darkest Midnight tends to kill their own leaders. Tends to
Yeah, like there can
assassinate their
only be
own
one. It's
leaders.
like Sith rules.
It's
It's like
definitely
Yeah.
Sith coded, where yeah, there's the rule of one, or the rule of two, I guess is what it's actually called.
yeah.
Um,
I thought he died from
Nerd.
too many cheeseburgers.
huh?
Was
Too
I
many
lying?
cheeseburgers.
Oh,
Didn't Harvey have
Harvey.
a heart
Oh
attack?
Lord, the cheeseburgers.
Was he poisoned by other members? Did they put something in the
So
cheeseburger?
just a behind the scenes, Harvey actually didn't nothing I don't think anything in game actually happened to Harvey. He just got really
Oh,
busy and kind of stopped playing, and he's gone off and found something else that he enjoys doing. So I'm pretty sure that the remaining members just kind of come up with
oh, they came
something.
up with their own
They
lore.
just come
Yeah,
Mhm.
up with
okay.
something,
Yeah.
but one I know for sure that I took part in was there was a leader that was named Draven, and this was back when Iris and Draven and Chip and maybe some folks watching. I know that Andy knows all those names.
Oh yeah.
And we had this
Maybe.
whole secretive decision to overthrow the Overlord Draven, and we did
Oh
this
my god.
big event,
It was a
and we
dope
were in a
story.
radio tower, and Iris did this really amazing monologue where the originator of the group, his name was Hex. She did this monologue and she quoted his monologue in it, and it was amazing. And then we killed him and we ate him.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I think that amazing stories come out of that development where there's just, even if there's just one or two, a handful of people
Yeah.
in the group that are dissenters, they don't agree, there's a disruption in leadership. If you can keep it all in character and it's not like harboring out of character resentment, and it gets messy
Yeah.
when people people can't separate and they get offended out of character and stuff. But when it does happen right, when it is done right, it's really fun and it's really cool. And
Oh yeah.
I think everybody else on the server really likes watching it play out and getting involved in it too. It's just a good time.
Yeah, I remember there was a time when I was in the Firekeepers, eons ago at this point, where my character Andy had a disagreement with our leader Tex, and several of them actually, uh, because of the way that he was starting to take the group. And I remember having those conversations, and it was a real conflict because I was basically like the third in like the, you know, whatever the hierarchy was. I was like pretty high up there, and I was like, hey, um, this is not great. Like, we need to like maybe think about this a little bit. And he still went and did the thing that I didn't agree with, but we all kept it in character, and like I never left the group, but like my character definitely had those issues with the group and how they were perceived sometimes, and how all of that happened. But it can happen, and it can be great story. I once screamed at the other lady that was her name was Dixie. She was very she had a lot of relationships, we'll say. And I literally had a screaming match with her. Literally screamed at her about being a whore and how she was fucking her way through the apocalypse and shit. It
Oh
was
yeah.
really intense. But like in the background, we were like DMing and being like, ha ha ha, that's hilarious.
See, that's
And like
good.
when we started it, I was like, okay, you ready for this? I'm about to fucking go off on you. And she's like, yeah, I'm so ready. I'm like, okay. Like that's the stuff that is amazing for me with conflict, is especially with your friends that you're having conflict with. You're like, there's gonna be some shit,
Yeah.
but I trust you. That kind of thing.
I see
But
Bonk
yeah,
kind of rubbing his chin,
his
thinking.
chin.
I think he might have something he wants to say.
No, no. I mean, I just love all the lore. I
I
mean,
do too.
I'm in the coalition. We haven't really had anything like that yet. Um, the most is about like whether or not we should build walls or something. But yeah, I was thinking about how much potential there would be for some kind of dissent. Could make things interesting. But
There's
yeah,
always potential for it.
but I think it's good that
Um,
you're talking to people about like when you're RPing like that, like making sure everybody's okay out of character. Because yeah, that shit can get kind
it
of
can get
messy.
intense if you just do it in character with like, I mean, you can totally do that, and you can just agree to keep it in character, and like, but yeah,
Yeah,
checking in on your group, if you're gonna have like, oh, my character doesn't really like this, or my character wants to do this or that. It kind of helps with the OOC stuff a little bit to like communicate a little bit,
yeah,
that it's not about them as people, but about where the character and how the group is perceived, and like that kind of thing. So I don't think trying to think if I've ever left a group for reasons like that, because I used to be in the Black Sheep as well, but I never really left them. I just died. So
oh shit. Oh yeah, I think I heard about that one. Did you talk? I think you talked about it on the last episode, right?
yes.
Was that how
Mm,
Andy died?
mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
I missed all these big events.
There's stuff happening now too. It's just, less
Yeah,
publicized. I don't know what's happening. Like, I've heard things on Ember, like, of stories that were a little bigger, and I wish I could, like, dive into them more and get more people's perspectives on, but a lot of the people sometimes leave, and then you don't have access to that information, and you're like,
Mm.
yeah,
so, yeah.
yeah, it's tough.
It's
Yeah.
hard.
It's hard out here.
It's hard.
People don't know, man.
But yeah, conflict I think is great for role play. Depending on how you handle it. It can be a good thing as long as all the parties involved are,
Yeah,
good.
I agree
Good with
with
it.
I I feel like I've done a mixture of those things where I've checked in beforehand, like, hey, this is something I'm thinking about and it involves your character. Would you like out of like are you okay with something like this happening? Like if it's a really, really big conflict, I will sometimes just get the okay to push it with the person. But a lot of times I'm doing something. I'm kind of, I don't know. I hate to use this, but I kind of I don't ask permission and I beg for forgiveness later.
Yeah.
But I do, like, if it's something big, I do agree you should check in on the other person, make sure they're okay, see how they're feeling about it. Maybe you don't have to do that every single time you're in conflict with the person, but just once in a while, be like, hey, this has been going on. I just want to make sure you're okay. I'm pretty sure I've DM'd Gary, about, hey, this happened. What do we think? I want to be on the same page. Um, I think it's important to keep things good, keep things fun and healthy, and that way you're nipping any fostering bad feelings in the
Yeah.
bud.
Don't want the resentment in like if you hold on to
Exactly.
that, and especially if it's a friend of yours and I've had this happen too, where or not to me, but to like friends of mine, because no one has a problem with me. No, I'm just
I believe it.
um, but where resentment kind of builds up in the background and then it suddenly explodes, and you don't want that to happen. Like I encourage people that if they start to have those issues with people, to just say something rather
Mm-hmm.
than have it blow up into this big thing. Like just mention something, just be like, "Hey, I'm not okay with this," or "Hey, we need to talk about this," because I mean, it doesn't need to get to the level where like this big thing happens and people are ostracized from places and friend groups. It's just not necessary.
Yeah.
Vale made a
Just
Just
really
talk about it.
good comment in the Twitch chat, and I was about to say it myself. If you don't feel comfortable contacting somebody, um, it is always okay to contact an admin and talk to them about it and see if they can help. Maybe they can mediate conversation with the other party. Maybe they, if someone's breaking a rule, obviously you want to, your first line of defense is to go straight to an admin, make a report, ticket it. But when it comes to like personal disputes, if you're scared to contact, if you're nervous, or maybe you're just not sure if it's worth it, you can always ask an admin like, "Hey, what should we do about this? What do you think?" So
Yeah.
I want to make sure that get that in there because they are here to
Yeah.
help.
Yes, and they're good at these
And they are
things.
good. So,
They're unbiased parties.
exactly.
They can help you through it.
I'm scrolling through my outline. We're actually doing really good on time, to be honest. Um,
Sweet.
we try to keep these around 2 hours. I'm pretty sure our last two episodes were right around the 2 hour mark,
We
and
got another hour.
we've gotten through quite a bit already. Um, we already kind of talked about tips like the taking notes or watching your streams back. If you don't stream, maybe just record for yourself if that's something that I know not everybody's hardware is capable of doing all of the things at once.
Yeah. Not
But
everyone's got two monitors to like go back and forth between
right,
whatever.
right. So I know that some of those things aren't very realistic for everybody.
I
What are
literally just have a notepad is what I just literally have this in front of me and I just take notes that way.
Here's
Yep,
mine.
there it is. Field notes. Ooh,
Yeah.
fancy.
I really like this is not an ad, but I love these yellows like National Geographic, I think they are. Um like not a National Geographic, but like a national parks series of field notes, and they all have these really pretty pictures from different national parks in the
Hmm.
United States. This one's Yellowstone. You can see the bison. Um
Bison.
I like them. So I keep getting them, but that's my little notebook.
That looks really small. I don't know if I could keep all of my notes in something that small. I filled up
It's
like so many of these. Like
I write
I could literally
in
go back into
yeah,
all of my notebooks
You're like
and
such
be
a
like, "Oh,
noob.
that's when that happened. That's when that happened."
I don't have shit. I had a post-it with
You got to
the
get one.
the 4 dial combo on my monitor. That was the extent
Yeah.
of my notes.
I
But
kind
yeah,
of
no, I
write
have
in,
I
I don't
got
know, like
zero.
a shorthand that only I understand, I guess. I write down like a single word, and it's just supposed to be like, hey, reflect on this, remember this, look back on this happened, you talk to this person. Sometimes my notes are literally
yeah.
just a name
Yeah,
from the
Yeah.
me
day.
too. Me too. Especially when I like to note down, especially as Ember, like people that I meet so that the next time I meet them, I remember. Or if it's a
Mm.
group, writing down, you know, that like I have here Black Mountain Rangers, Penguin, because I know that that's the leader, and I was like, okay, I met this person there from Black Mountain Rangers, blah blah blah, and I like list who's in what, and just keeping everything straight so that I, especially when I first meet people, I'm like, I need to remember this probably. Yeah, I just have tons of names and just, you know, this happened, that happened. I have some notes about conversations with specific characters. Like I have one here about Greenie and some stuff that I learned about him, and like I have lots. I write it all down because, and I record it as well. But I like to write it down just so it sticks in my memory a little bit more.
I like
Yeah,
that. Mine
I
are
gotta take
not
one of those
nearly
up.
as detailed or organized.
Well, I'm a historian, so I need to
You
get
need
my
to
Yeah,
be,
facts
yeah,
sure,
your
straight. I need to
character
be
needs to be
a
that
little
way,
more.
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Mine is just kind of like, it doesn't really matter if she remembers most people or not, to be quite honest. It's part of the chaotic nature of the character. Maybe I remember you
Yeah.
today. Maybe I don't. Maybe I like you. Maybe I don't. It's, I don't have to try that hard, I guess. But I
Yeah.
do like to
I
make
have
sure
like
I know
dates
what
and
I know what
everything
I
in here.
know.
I'm like, I this on blah blah blah, you know, whatever date, and like, you know, I try to keep pretty good notes.
Yeah,
I was gonna say something, but I kind of lost it. It might come back to me.
I know people that use it. They're using spreadsheets too. I think
Oh yeah,
Chuck uses spreadsheets.
Oh,
I
that
get to do that.
reminded me. That did remind me what I was gonna say. I was gonna say that you could also be like Barmby and have somebody in the chat that is
Oh,
keeping
that
track
is
document.
of
your lore
everything.
master. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
It's
pretty
just some-
sure maybe they're here. I know that there's somebody from the army that has been taking notes while watching all the streams and keeping track of who is who and all of that. I'm fairly certain somebody's been doing that. Federico, yeah, Federico's been the lore master
yes.
of the army. Yep.
I need a I need a
I need one of those.
Federico, dude.
Right,
We all need
we
one.
all need a Federico in the chat for us, keeping track of
Yo,
everything.
shout out Federico.
For real, shout out
That's
Federico.
that's impressive work.
I wanted to think on, while we're on this topic and this talking point, what other tips you guys would have for starting stories and finding ways to develop. Sometimes you just don't find anybody. Sometimes things don't, your day in Doug doesn't pan out how you thought it would be. What are some things that you can do to work on it? I have written down finding role play partners who help challenge your character and push your development, which I heard that from you, Andy, talking about how you were yelling at each other and you were in the behind the scenes. Like, you obviously had role play partners that were
Yeah.
ready to push that with you.
Oh yeah.
And
I've had so many good roleplay partners. I've been so lucky. I've had so many. But yeah, finding the people that you trust. Like I could have probably still had that screaming match without DMing here in the background because we just had that level of trust. And finding people that you trust to roleplay with, and you know, it is irreplaceable. Like I'm still friends with those people, even though they don't play on Doug anymore. They haven't for a long time. I can text them anytime and be like, "Hey, how you doing?" Like those lasting roleplay friendships really, like finding them is important. And you just gotta hold on to those people for dear life because they are bread and butter to your roleplay experience. Really, I mean, it is what it is. Like, it's rare, but they're out there, and there's people out there who will roleplay with you and bring the you know whatever you need, whether it be conflict or a friend and then conflict. You know, like, and sometimes like I do this with Jackie all the time as well. Like I can surprise her with whatever I want to, and she will roll with it. And she can recognize me in all my fucking characters, and I can't help that. But yeah, I've surprised her a few times with things that were conflict oriented. You know, I played bad guy and I kidnapped her, or I did this or that. And she trusts. We have that level of trust where like it doesn't matter. We will always trust that we have each other's best interest in the story's best interest. Um, yeah, so finding those people is really helpful, and also those conversations that you have with those characters help develop your character even more. Those one-on-one conversations where you talk about like, hey, I'm feeling this way, and maybe they give you a pep talk or whatever, like, or they make you think about it, your character differently. That stuff, the people that surround you really help that development as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have an RP buddy, unfortunately.
Gotta find an
I'll
RP
be
buddy.
your
I've been
RP
lucky with
buddy.
Jackie, but
You want to be on my RP buddy? Okay. I would say just go to. I mean, are we talking just Doug or RP in
just
general? 'Cause,
wherever, just in
Wherever.
wherever you go to RP, having
Uh,
RP, that group of RPers that vibe with
yeah,
you is nice.
yeah. As far as meeting people, I guess on Doug, the community camps and stuff would be a good spot to find, people with stories and, maybe you'll click with someone and something will kind of take off out of the blue. I know I've met so many new people just from being in the coalition. It's insane. Like I ran on Doug so long ago and it was always like hit or miss whether or not you'd meet new people or interact with new people. But being in a group and especially a community camp, it's made RPing so much easier. So
Yeah.
I would say
Groups
look
do
for
that.
yeah.
Like having
Yeah.
those places really connects people in the best ways.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's been so much more interesting.
That is a
Yeah.
big reason why I've not flown solo on Doug yet. I respect the people that are running around without a group, without a faction. Even just one other person running around with you makes such a big difference to me.
Yeah.
It's very important to my fun to have somebody to interact with because I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I'm not really playing DayZ because I love DayZ gameplay, okay? I'm gonna just
Aw.
break it out now.
You're not a
I'm not
PvP
much
god.
of a DayZ player, okay? I play DayZ, but I'm playing it because the people on this server are who I want to talk to and play my kooky characters. I'm not a PvP Chad. I'm not even good at the game. People that watch me every Sunday know this very well. I still don't know what I'm doing half the time. The
No,
first couple of my streams, I was literally fishing for like an hour and a half because I couldn't survive and I couldn't hunt. And so yeah, I have to be with people or else I'm just dying
Needs that
repeatedly.
support.
I do. I desperately do. And so
well, that's Doug too.
I
Doug
get
is
lucky.
harder. Doug is a lot harder to survive than most other servers.
Yeah.
Yes,
So don't be
for some
don't
reason, it's
be.
the only way I play Daisy is I just decided,
It's
you
good
know
though.
what, I'm gonna go and play on hard mode. It was even harder when I first started playing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Doug is how I learned how to play Daisy, and it made every other server so much easier.
I
Oh
hear
yeah,
that.
every
Yeah,
other server, if you ever go to any others from Doug,
yeah.
like
Like
it's
look at all this
cake.
food. It's a joke. Like
Yeah.
there's canned of pork here. What is this? I've never seen this before.
I remember back when we used to have apples on trees. That's how
Oh
long
yeah,
ago.
I forgot about that.
And mushrooms in the forest. We don't got any of that now.
Oh, that doesn't exist anymore.
Mhm.
That was like a tell when you were behind someone, right? You'd see the mushrooms on the ground. Yeah, I miss those days. Now you have rocks on the train tracks.
Yeah.
I just learned
Um,
that was a thing.
You
Abron,
didn't
I
know
think
rocks were on the
that's
train track?
No,
Austin. Is that
I
you,
learned that
Austin?
that meant you were behind someone, like that someone was recently
I
there. I
see your
didn't know that.
question, Austin. Um,
Yo, some
I'm
dude.
just gonna interrupt for a second because I got an interesting question about somebody that would like to offer their advice during this segment. Um, I'm okay with that. We're actually gonna like basically address everybody watching pretty soon, actually, because we're making great time getting through all the things we wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
It's usually a Q&A, but people are also welcome to, you know, just say advice. I'm happy to read that stuff off. So if you want to, it's coming soon. I think we're actually going to segue into some common mistakes here and like pitfalls that people might fall into when they're first starting out role playing. And then we'll be wrapping it up and opening up to you guys. So we're nearly there. If you can hold out a little bit longer. I've seen questions being asked, and I just, while we're talking and we're going back and forth here, it's really hard to interrupt and ruin the flow.
There is a section for this. We will get to your
Right,
question.
yep.
It's
We
okay.
will do it. We will do it. If you have questions, please hold on to them and we'll read them off at the end and we'll answer them. I don't want some of your questions have already gotten lost in the chat for me and yeah, so it's coming. We're going to do a Q&A and stuff. It's coming. But anyway, sorry to interject your guys' conversation there. I just
No, you're good.
I needed to get that out before I forgot because my memory is a bird's memory, a fish memory. So yeah, we were talking about finding roleplay partners and community camps, just finding people that you can build trust with. I was interested in something that you mentioned on the last episode, Andy, where you develop and roleplay by yourself.
Yes.
Where you learned that from somebody else who was very good at it. And I was wondering if you would like to kind of talk about that again for the people that are maybe seeing this for the first time.
Yeah, so it's what I call solo RP. Which is basically just times when you roleplay with just yourself. And you like have I learned it from Dixie, the person that I screamed at, because she would go off sometimes and you would just find her role playing by herself. Like if she was frustrated with a situation or whatever, she would just talk to herself. She'd be punching a tree, she'd be going off doing stuff like on her own. And then I sort of picked that up from her way back in the day and sort of have, done it throughout my RP career as well. It's like being so in your character and like thinking about those things, talking to literally nothing. I mean, you can talk to the Zed next to you, or for Red Dead, I talk to my horse all the time. Like things that don't talk back, but you just like have these conversations on your own, developing your character. Going and doing something that they would do if they were upset, or if they were sad or whatever they would do, just sitting somewhere, just thinking and talking to themselves or whatever. That's what I call solo RP. So it is definitely, I would say some people think that it's difficult because it's like you're not really interacting with anything and you're just kind of just sitting there by yourself. And so people, are like, well, there's nothing to interact with, so how am I supposed to, but it's just like we do in real life. It's like sometimes you sit and you think and you ruminate about whatever, or you talk to yourself, like, or at least I do. I don't know, but yeah, it's a good development thing as well. Like just to go through those exercises of thinking through how your character would be thinking in that moment by yourself is still development. And maybe they can come to a conclusion at the end of that, thinking session or whatever. Maybe they'll think through it and be like, all right, I'm going to be bolstered and do this, or I'll, or fuck this guy, I'm going to go take revenge, or whatever it is that they come up with in that session is like, that's still development. It's just solo development.
I got to try that more often, I think.
Yeah. That sounds
Especially if
fun.
you have a stream, it fills the spaces as well when you're by yourself.
I watched Jackie do it on her stream where she kind of had like an end of the stream monologue
yeah.
of her
She does that all the time,
of her
yeah.
inner thoughts, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. This is such a good idea.
Yeah.
Why am I not doing this? I want to do this. Then again, Polly's Insane probably wouldn't be as cool, but maybe
That'd be
someday.
super interesting, actually.
Would it be okay? Maybe I'll
Polly's
try
inner
it.
thought.
Polly's inner thoughts,
totally
toot
watch
toot.
that. Yes.
They're
Probably be
dark.
something nuts.
Dark and confusing is how I would describe Polly's inner thoughts. But yeah. One thing that I also wanted to mention when we're talking about stories and developing with other people is to remember that it is your story, but your stories are also part of someone else's story. And to keep that in mind when you're developing, that's kind of where the flexibility and like working without a plan really shines, is because other people have their own things going on around you, just like in real life, that you may not be privy to. And everybody's kind of affecting everyone with their own character development.
Yeah.
So it's like it really is what's the word? It's right on the tip of my tongue. Collaborative storytelling. It's
Yeah.
not just yours, really. I mean, it's your point of view, but the story has many points of view. And the subreddit is great, and also all the streams have been great, to see everybody's point of view of the same story, and they have their own little story going on within it, and it's been really nice to see. I try not to spoil too much for myself, but I I wait a certain amount of time. Like I waited a while before I actually went and watched the Gary games. Um,
Oh, really?
I wanted to make sure that I actually knew in character and heard about it in character before I went back and watched what actually happened and how it all went down. Um, just stuff like that. I'll wait. I'll wait to watch
Yeah. So
someone's
your
stream.
reaction is genuine and
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's gotta be so difficult.
It's
I'd really
hard.
like.
I
I
think it's
really want to
more
immediately
difficult
go
when
watch
you
it or
know
even watch it live, but I find
Yeah.
it to be more work if I've already seen it and
and keeping
now,
track of
yeah, and keeping track
everything.
of what I
Yeah.
actually know. I've gotten pretty good at it, like Andy says, just from years of doing it and separating, but it's extra work I don't need to do if I just don't watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
And even if you're really good at separating that stuff, it's hard to have that genuine reaction. Like you kind of, if you already know, you're like, I'm probably gonna, my character would probably react this way to it, but it's not like a true, genuine reaction. So saving those moments for that is good.
Mm-hmm. Especially because sometimes the way that I end up reacting in character is a surprise to me also.
Yeah.
So if I've already have the outcome in my brain,
Yeah.
then it's ruined, you know?
Yeah. It's not as fun.
No.
And that kind of segues into like a really common mistake that newer people make is like metagaming and mixing the out of character knowledge with the in character knowledge. And I've actually been I was just doing it yesterday because I moderate for Worm's stream. Worm's been streaming, by the way, everybody.
I know.
Just a shout out
Fantastic.
to Worm. He's been streaming on YouTube, and it's been I'm a moderator there, and a few times I had to remind people what metagaming was,
Yeah.
because a lot of new people that are maybe they're not role players, but they're watching role play, and they're interested in it obviously, but they don't really know what metagaming is and why we don't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like don't say stuff in my stream that my character doesn't know.
Yeah, I don't need
Please.
to know Burnby's
You don't need
exact
to know.
location in this moment.
Or I've had things spoiled that way that I really didn't want spoiled, and I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
come on, like, oh, like I had somebody tell me something, and like I was in a relationship with this one character, and they like I had in character found out like through a completely random like set of circumstances information that they were like bad. And I was like, holy crap. Like, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do about this? And I went and confronted them about it. And they completely pulled the wool over my eyes. They completely like convinced me that it was not that and whatever. And it wasn't them or what have you. And I was like, okay, fine. And then months later, somebody came into my stream and was like, oh, did you know that they did this? And I was like, oh, like I was like, I didn't want to know. They had completely convinced me. And that would have been such a great reaction if I had eventually actually found out about that. But now I know, and it's I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that would have been so good.
You
Because
just gotta
in character
pretend.
and out of character, they completely bamboozled me, and that would have been so good if
Yeah.
I hadn't known until a certain point. So
Yeah.
And then it was hard in character to be like completely trusting again because I'm just like, I know what they like.
Yeah, that
I'm not
really
going to do
sucks.
anything about it. I'm still going to act like myself, but like me knowing kind of like spoiled it a little bit.
Yeah,
I
I
feel like
guess
most people know not to meta because it's not just like an RP thing either with DayZ.
I feel like you would be surprised.
Really?
Especially with people we have a lot of people, especially right now, that are just absorbing content, but they're not actually playing and they're not actually role players. They're just it's like it's a show for them. It's
Yeah,
TV.
that's true.
Um And so you see meta happening a lot in people's streams where they're going, they'll have like three different streamers open and they're going back and forth and they'll be like, oh, this happened on so and so stream. Can you believe that? And then they'll go to the other streamer and be like, this is happening right now. This is where they are. And they
Yeah.
don't realize that that's like breaking the rules of the server for one. They don't know. So you can't be too angry with them that they don't know. But it's helpful for even those people to learn what it is. If you're going to absorb the content, if you're going to watch us stream role play, it's really important not to metagame, which is, for basic terms, anything that we don't learn while we're playing the game, we don't know, we don't want to know.
Yeah.
We don't want to know what's happening in so and so's stream because we're not there. Now, it's a little bit different if everybody's in the same spot and we're witnessing it, then obviously you can talk about it because we're at the event, we're there witnessing it ourselves.
Yeah.
But if one person's on one side of the map and we're on the other side of the map, we would not reasonably know what's going on over there. So
Yeah.
don't for
Like
someone to
if you
tell
see on
us,
someone else's stream, like if I don't know, if someone had seen a cat stream that they were going to go try to grab Gary and they were like in the same spot and someone went to Gary's chat and was like, "Oh, the clowns are looking for you." Like don't do that.
yeah, anything that's any information that's learned outside of the game is meta.
Yep.
Anything. And we can't use it and we can't know it. And thankfully, the people that you are unknowingly doing meta to, when you're sharing this information and stuff, will be good and we won't break meta and we will act like we don't know, but it still is
But don't
disappointing.
put that on us.
Don't do
No.
it. Don't do it. Don't make us
Don't give
do
us
that.
that. Plausible
Yeah.
deniability is out the window at that point, and we
Exactly.
don't want that responsibility.
And the
But even
opposite direction, if you're starting out role playing but and you're interested because you've been watching these streams, because you've been watching Amish Zed, Barbie, me, Bonk, Andy, if you've been watching any of us and that's what's gotten you into it, it works the other way around. You can't use that stuff that you've been watching with your new character. Your character is brand new in this land. You don't know anybody and you don't know anything.
You don't know who's bad, who's good, any of it.
You can't use it.
New land. If you run into like Darkest Midnight and they're acting really nice for some reason, and like your character wouldn't, I mean, they can be not trusting as far as like, normal character would be, but they can't be like, oh my God, it's Darkest Midnight, because your character wouldn't necessarily know that they are a bad group. And
Yeah.
if they're acting
Yeah.
nice to you,
That
like,
I see
you
that
wouldn't
is
know.
that is a type of meta that happens a lot, and it's kind of a soft meta almost to come into
Yeah.
the server as a brand new character and just already know, oh, Darkest Midnight is a terrible, awful, evil group, and this group lives here, and this person's in this group. You wouldn't actually know that if you just got here. I think a lot of people probably look the other way if you're new because you're learning. But just so you know ahead of time, if you're thinking about starting it up, you wouldn't know any of that. You really wouldn't. And you're also kind of taking the experience away from yourself by already, thinking that
sure.
you know all that stuff. It's way more interesting to not know, hey,
Yeah.
the stay out on the map on Gorka really means stay out.
Man. Yeah. Oh my God, there
Yeah.
was one time when I first started Doug, I was bamboozled by this guy who was on the radio and acting really, really nice. And it was like I was like gonna go meet him and everything. And literally I like walked up. I was at St. Joe's, I think. and I was talking to them on the radio, and someone else heard them and was like, and he like got on the radio and was like, named him and everything, and is like, oh, you're trying to trick this poor girl. And I was like, oh my God, I would have, he was a cannibal. I would have been eaten like 100%. But completely bamboozled me. And it was like, if that would have actually happened, like that would have been dope for story, first of all. But I would have actually loved to have that experience. But like learning that like who that person was like a huge bad guy was a wonderful experience,
Yeah.
and I would recommend it. Be bamboozled.
Yes, exactly.
It's
The whole
fun.
point. Yeah.
And I'm not gonna I'm not perfect either. Like I play tabletop RPs, I play D&D, and I will sometimes accidentally meta even during that because especially with those games, it's kind of easy to know something that your character wouldn't actually know, and I still sometimes make those mistakes. So, I'm not up here preaching like I'm perfect. Um it's just it's a practice thing more than anything else. It's just
Yeah.
practicing and working on it. We're not expecting you to be perfect right out of the gate. That's why we make these. We make these episodes so we can talk about it and we can learn about it.
Everyone
Exactly.
slips up every once in a while for sure. Like it's not.
Mistakes happen.
They
Still don't go
do.
into people's chat and be like, "This person's over there." You know,
Yeah.
that's a little
Yeah.
that's a
Stop
little rough.
that.
A little much.
Yeah,
Don't do that.
Don't do that
Don't.
anymore.
Don't ruin someone else's experience with meta.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You get used to it. The whole meta thing. You know, just keep playing.
Mhm.
Yes.
I know it's really fun to watch the streams, and I really like to get in, and I want to support my friends, of course. I want to get in, and I want to get into Bonk's channel, and I want to say hi, and I want to watch him have fun. But I'm too involved to be sitting there and seeing everything that Gary does. So I
Yeah.
don't stay very long. But you know, I understand. I want to watch it too, and it's hard knowing everything. Um, so I just for myself, I just don't do it. But
Yeah.
I can see it it's very much like a television show where you want to talk to your friends about what's going on. So I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
Just don't tell us. Tell somebody
Yeah.
else.
Talk to somebody else about it.
Yeah.
Yes. Make a Discord.
That's what I was gonna say. Make
Get
a little
together.
group Discord chat. You know, where you
Yeah.
could discuss things.
Yes. Do
It's a
something like
win-win
that.
for everyone. Yeah.
Another I want to talk just like about maybe one more common mistake, like power gaming or making overpowered characters that are invincible and things like that. Um, I'll let you guys take the wheel because I feel like I've talked nonstop practically. I especially want to hear from Bonk more, um, which we will hear a lot from you because there's plenty of questions specifically towards you, by the way, Bonk.
There's a lot.
Oh dear.
Keep in
I'll do my
mind
best.
that when you're making a character, we talked about this during character creation to have flaws in mind. Flaws are also going to be pivotal to developing your character and having things affect them. If you make a overpowered, invincible person who doesn't fear for their life, that doesn't care about anything, it's not very fun. You're depriving yourself of fun and also the people that want to interact with your character too. It's not as enjoyable or interesting to interact with a unchanging, super juiced up person that is not affected by anything.
Yeah. That's kind of rare. Those types of characters are kind of rare, I think, on Doug.
I
At
think
least. I mean,
so too, mostly
yeah.
because Doug is, you know, you could die, you really truly could die at any minute. So just the game itself already kind of affects your fear for life.
Yeah, there's a
Because
lot of
it's
pressure.
true and real.
Yeah.
But I wanted to mention it because I think that what we talk about in these episodes can be applied to other settings and other communities. I don't want to be super
Red
Doug
Dead for sure.
specific.
Yeah.
You know, it is fun to be a hero or a supervillain, but you still got to be realistic. It's just not fun to role play with someone that is unstoppable, and there's just
Yeah.
no chinks in the armor. It's just
No
not fun.
chance. Like they're
The
just
Winter
never gonna
Soldier.
die.
Mm-hmm.
I'm RPing as the Winter Soldier. You can't kill me. I have a force field around me.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
fun.
that kind of.
That's my next
I mean,
character.
I've had things like that happen in like Red M where somebody is, they've been in everything. They're like, I can do medical and I can, shoot and I can, do all these other things. Like I have all these skills and I'm just so good at everything and I'm charismatic and I'm what and I was like, this person has no flaws. Like there's nothing this person is struggling with. Like it makes for, in my opinion, kind of a bad character.
Yeah.
Like I know everyone wants to be that. Everyone wants to be the badass. Everyone wants to be untouchable, but like if you think about the stories that we like, it's never about somebody who's untouchable. It's about people who do struggle with things and who do have to overcome things in the world or in themselves. Like those are the stories that are the best. So, like even in the big like action movie, whatever, like even though, those people are larger than life, like they still have those flaws. They have those things about them that are weaknesses. I mean, and it's just good story to be able to have that in a character. So, and also nobody likes playing with someone like that, really. Like there's nothing you can if there's nothing you can do, it becomes kind of pointless. It's like,
Yeah.
respect the people you're playing with, give a little bit, they'll give back, you'll have a little lovely back and forth and whatever, even with people you're in conflict with. It's like the little tip of the hat to be like, you have something, like you have recourse, you have things you can do to affect whoever it is. Having someone that is untouchable it's not fun for me at least. So yeah.
I just keep thinking about Gary winning the Gary games. That was such a badass moment, but it wasn't done by sharpshooting or sniping from the trees or being mega stealthy. It was just this event playing evil clown carnival games, and
Yeah.
he was the hero of the day by winning the
Yeah.
games, and it was Gary.
I
It
know.
was scary.
it was
Who would have thought?
it was Gary.
I had so
And
much
it's
fun with that,
yeah.
by the way. I wish you were there, Paul. That would have been so much. It
I
made it
wish I
so
would
I
much
have been
better.
there.
I tried
Both of you
so
guys, yeah.
hard to be there. I
Yeah.
spawned kind of far away and I was running desperately, and I had enough had enough food and water to make it, but I didn't have anything else going with for me. I didn't have anything to fight anything off, but I was just so desperate to get there. I made it all the way to Boar. I was nearly on the lollipop's door. I mean, I feel like Boar is practically there in the term of how big Chernar's map is. I was like, I'm practically there. But it took
Yeah.
me almost the whole event just to get to that point, and then I had wolves spawn on me.
Oh god.
And at that point it was pretty much wrapping up, and I was like, I guess I'll just log off in this barn.
Oh man.
So
Yeah, it did go
I
pretty
was
quick.
almost there. I really wanted to be there. I'll catch you next time.
All right. Yeah. We'll finish. We'll continue the
Uh,
story.
it's just like we said like early on in the stream, it's been really hard. I think maybe we hadn't even started the stream yet. We were talking about how hard it's been for a lot of people that have stories going on to actually get on together and play.
Yeah, it's
It's been
been
hard lately.
difficult.
And especially with me, I only really have the one day that I played AZ because it's a time consuming game, and
It
I
is. It
really
is a
have
time
to
sink for sure.
set time aside from my real life responsibilities to play it. And right now it's been great. I love that it's popular. I love that it's full practically all the time. It's always more fun when it's full. But it's been hard to I can't snipe the restarts. I can't live like that. And I
Yeah.
also don't want to be the person that is like, okay, I'm going to log in at this restart just so that I have the option to play, but I'm actually going to be AFK for 45 minutes before I can play. I don't want to take that
Yeah.
spot from someone who could go get in and actually start playing right away. I'm just not going to do that. So that's where I'm at right now. So if you want to interact with me, you have to play on Sunday. Sorry.
Squishy Bit Sunday, guys.
Squishy Bit Sunday, guys.
Yeah.
That's how, and it won't always be like that. but it's what I can do right
Hopefully.
now. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it'll get better. But yeah, it's been
um,
tough.
the final thing that I have on the outline was actually something that Andy really wanted to put on the outline, which was talking about play your agency. Um,
Yes.
do you want to start that talking point off?
Yes. So I believe in you as a player being in control of your character. Now I know that a lot of the time, your character is a certain way, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, I'm just gonna do what my character would do," and to an extent, that is reasonable. But you have control of your character as the player. You do. You really do. And where the story goes. If you want it to. If you want them to be bad, if you want them to be good, you have control over that. So I have in the past had a lot of bad story happen because people say, oh, that's just my character. It's like, yes, but you are in control of your character. And it's okay to do things for the story as a player. And some people get carried away in the character, and they kind of the character plays them, kind of a thing. And again, to a point that's reasonable, because you do want to play your character. But if it gets to the point where you are steamrolling other people's stories, or you're disrupting things in a way that is not great or respectful, I don't think that's necessary. And you as a player can be aware and respectful in the story, in your role play, with the character that you have, and just be mindful of that stuff. So that's my spiel.
Do you have anything you'd like to add, Bonk?
No, I agree. I agree with everything Andy said.
I
I
have
mean,
a
you
question
could be
about that for you.
Mm.
Oh, go ahead.
Do you feel like you've been in control of where things are going, or do you like and how you're like do you feel like you're in control of it, or cuz
Yes, I
I
mean,
mostly feel that way about my own characters, but I'm curious how you feel about it.
yeah, I'm mindful enough and been doing it long enough that if something happens in character that, I'm might be good for my character but wouldn't be good for anyone else or any other like thing. Like I don't know. Like there's just moments that you can kind of, if you take a step back and you think about like, if I do this, is it going to fuck over someone else and their story and how much they've put into it? Sometimes that answer is yes. And sometimes you don't know about it and that is what it is, but like just being mindful about it and thinking about the other people you're role playing with and the characters that you're interacting with, the person behind the screen, and like I don't know, it's like just being mindful of how your character's actions can affect someone else's story to a point. Like yes, you're running your own story and that's fine, but knowing that it is a collaborative effort and you don't want to ruin that for other people, you know? So,
Mhm.
yeah. Being empathetic and being mindful of the other people behind the screen. Always something that I advocate for, so.
Yeah, I haven't really had many situations like that yet where I thought if I do this, it's gonna fuck up someone's time or anything like that.
And
But
most of the time it's not an issue, but
yeah,
there are some times where uh in the past I have had, mostly not on Doug per se, but in other RP situations where, a story can be completely taken over or ruined by people who are just not thinking about it, or they're just doing their own thing, and they're just not being mindful about the story that they're entering. They're not asking those questions of like, what is the story about? They're just sort of one tracking it down doing their own thing and not really thinking about the other people that they're role playing with. So, um, yeah, just a PSA from me
I
that
actually
you as a
has
player are in control.
Yeah, I actually had somebody say something. I didn't get to reply to it right away at the time, but I can bring it back around now because I feel like it kind of relates. Bruddy Guy in the Twitch chat, he said, I think one of the biggest things is people need to realize that none of us are the main character. And getting main character syndrome can ruin stories on Doug, and I kind of agree. I would
Yeah.
add to that to say you're the main character of your own story,
Mhm.
but you're not the main character of the server.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I made a comment in my chat. I said we're all kind of just cameos in each other's stories. I try to I obviously have my own character and my own motivations and my own things I want to do, and so in that way I am the main character of my own story. But I go into all of my interactions and everything that I'm doing as I'm like a side character in other people's stories. And I think that mindset helps me a lot with not getting any delusions of grandeur of how important I am.
Yeah.
And
I mean, if you're running a story with like a friend and you're like going down this track, like that's, that's your guys' thing and that's, your story and that is what it is.
mhm.
But yeah, yeah, definitely thinking about you being just a piece of the world, not like the whole thing,
Yeah.
But
You don't have to be involved in every story too.
Right.
You can kind of.
That's a
yeah,
really
yeah,
good point, Bach.
that's a
Thanks
good
for
point.
saying that. You
Yeah.
don't have to be involved in everything all the time. You can sit some stuff out and it's okay. I
Yeah.
have to deal with that a lot.
Yeah. It's easy to want to, especially if it's like an
Oh,
interesting story. Like
Yeah.
I have to find ways to cope with the FOMO. It's hard for
yeah,
me sometimes.
Yeah.
but it's
Um,
just it's if it comes around to you and it's natural, then great.
Yeah.
But try not to force yourself into other people's stuff if it doesn't really make
Yeah. You
sense.
can still learn about it and like as your character learn about it and be interested in it, but yeah, definitely like I said, be mindful of your role in the world and your role in other people's stories is, I
Yeah.
don't know.
I
We're
kind
all
of.
supporting characters in this world that we inhabit in RP,
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
Yep. 100%.
The big story is the server-wide story, and all of it is a bunch of. It's like a collection of little mini stories all going on at once.
the tangled web.
There's definitely a word for that type of book where you every chapter is like somebody else's story. I just can't think of the word right now, but it's kind of
No
like
clue.
that. It's kind of like that. There's all of these simultaneous things happening, and you don't have to be involved in everything. And that's actually one of I didn't really talk about it because I couldn't find a way to make it fit. But now that we're wrapping it back around, that's one of the common mistakes is just kind of forcing yourself into stuff and just the desperation of trying to develop and try to get involved with stuff. Just let the things that naturally happen and remember you don't have to be involved in every single thing, every interesting thing going on because there's plenty of stuff going on and more
Yep.
cool stuff will happen
Yep.
unless the server drops down to 0 players suddenly one day. Stuff will be happening, so you'll have your
Yes. And it's
chance.
far too much for you to get involved in everything anyway, so
It's
Yeah.
impossible, truly, but
It's more satisfying when it just happens too,
mm-hmm.
like out of
Mhm.
nowhere. It'll be more enjoyable for you.
And with that, I think that is the end of all our talking points, and that means we have 30 minutes to take questions. If you guys are ready to do
Woo!
question time.
Let's do it.
I know that lots of people have already asked questions. I'm really sorry, but this is now the time to re-ask that question so that I can see them. And if the other chatters could really kindly not talk over them so that they don't disappear on me, I would appreciate that. So, while you guys are queuing up questions in the chats, we actually had some questions asked ahead of time in the Discord. A lot of them were for you, Bonk.
Well, I see Worm asked a very rude question. If you could ban him, please. That'd be How
um,
dare you? Where he asked, "Why is Gary such a bitch?"
no, he did
Because he has
not.
flaws and he's a good
He
character.
did. How dare
Worm, why are you acting so naughty in the chat?
It's just the way he is.
It's good
Worm.
character
It's
development.
just the way he is. He's a very passive guy. He doesn't want any trouble. He's just living his life.
Naughty worm.
Thank you. Thank you, Worm. I
Thank you
love
for the
Uh,
Worm.
question.
so Dilly had the first question. I know you know who Dilly is, Bonk.
Yes,
Dilly
I do.
says, I'd like to hear Bong's perspective on playing on Doug as a solo versus in a group. He played as a solo for years before deciding to join a group. What made him decide to give group life a go? What are the major differences between the two play styles, and do you have any advice for solos?
Um, I always kind of wanted to be in a group, but I never really. I don't know. It was hard to commit to just I don't know being a part of this one area of the map all the time. I like the idea of being able to go wherever I wanted, or log in and be whoever. Um, it is harder to have consistent RP though as a solo, at least what I found. Um, but as far as why I wanted to join a group, um, I don't know. I think you'll eventually just meet people you connect with, and that's kind of what happened with me and Dilly. And they explained what they were doing, and it sounded interesting. And I just figured, whatever, I'm gonna try it out, see what the faction life is like, and I love it. I don't know why I kind of hesitated for a long time to join a group, but I'm glad I did. It's definitely if you're into the more RP stuff, I think it's worth trying to join a group and see how it goes. I mean, you're never really stuck. Like if you join and you don't like it, you're not like stuck. You could always decide to leave. But I would suggest at least trying it out. You know, but
Yeah.
they're very different, solo versus running a
Oh
group.
yeah.
How are
Yeah.
they different?
Um, I don't know. You're not. You have like if you're in a group, you
Explain.
you have like this. You have the reputation of the group to always consider. Whereas if I was solo and I just wanted to be an asshole, like I just wanted to log in, because sometimes you want to log in and just shoot people. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but that happens to me every now and then. You can't really do that when you're in a group. At least a group like mine, you're like committed to being this good guy, which is a little different. Um, but it's fun. You always have people around, people coming through. It's much more consistent RP. Whereas being
Yeah,
a
for
solo,
sure.
you could be running for you could log in like 5 days straight and not really see anyone. You're kind of just doing your own thing. Um,
Yeah.
but it is a nice sense of freedom as a solo. I guess it depends on what you're feeling. What you're looking to get out of the game.
Yeah.
That was my experience at least.
Good
I
answer.
think I think it's a lot easier in a group to survive in
Yeah.
general.
Thank you.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, being solo definitely has its freedoms as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to try my hand at it. Maybe my next character when I find a way to be done
Yeah.
with Polly. I guess
I'm kind of both.
you are kind of both. Yeah.
Because like I have the archives and there are people that like live with me, but like I'm not technically part of a group. So like I am
Yeah. You're
solo,
kind of
but
solo.
I still have people that support me and like help. So I'm kind of both. I get the best of both worlds, baby.
Yeah. I would like to run solo again after running as Gary. Like now that I have a little more RP experience, I want to see how different it would be. Because I wasn't really that RP focused the first time I was on Doug. Um, but yeah, I think that could be interesting at some point once Gary
Go be a loner again.
gets shot in the head or whatever. Gary will die at some point.
No.
Yeah, he's gonna die. You know.
Yeah. That's the one thing
So
that
sad.
some of us role players know for sure about our story is that it will end in death.
Yeah.
That's like the one thing we know for sure.
I know mine will, and it will be very fucking sad when it happens. I'm
Yeah.
hoping not for a long time because Ember's still got a lot of stuff to do. She's got a lot of stuff to
But that's
do.
another thing I want to experience too, like the whole starting over, like without knowing anyone. Although you do know them, but you have to, you know,
Yeah. I
you
just go
gotta
to a different
fight.
part of the map and just
Yeah,
start just in
yeah,
a place that I don't really know people. That's what I do.
yeah. That's probably good advice.
I just took a involuntary 3-year hiatus, so I definitely don't know. There's very many people I don't actually know, so that helped.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
helps too.
I would have preferred to
Great.
not wait that long if it were up to
Yeah.
me, but so our next question is from Legit Pop, also known as Matt, also known as I can't remember his caveman name right now. He says,
Oh, yeah.
I know Gary has played on the server off and on for years. I'm curious what enticed him to come back, and how does this Doug compare to his previous time on the server?
Um, I kind of got hooked on the PvP side back then when I left, but I would always kind of come back here and there without telling anyone. I would just run for like a day. Um, and then that's kind of what I was doing. And then I ran into Dilly just randomly, and we had this great run of like 2 or 3 hours. And then I started getting more active in the Discord after that, and found out that they were starting this group, and I had always considered joining the group. It kind of intrigued me, and I started playing it more, and it just kind of sucked me in.
Snowballed from there.
Yeah, it got addicting real quick. As far as how different it is, I don't know. It's not, other than like just groups changing and stuff, and the map looking different. It doesn't really seem that different. It's very similar. Um, I guess back in the day, I don't know, the groups seemed a little like bigger to me, because like when I first started, I was watching people stream Doug, and you'd see like Damn, and you kind of build them up in your head as like these super important people, and then you'd meet them in game, and it was like, oh my god, it's Kate. So that feeling is gone now, because I kind of know
Oh my
people
gosh,
now. Like,
Kate! Shout out to Kate slash
yes, Alice,
Sulky Alice. She has had
fantastic.
many names. I
Yeah,
mostly just call her Sulky now, or
yeah.
Zoki. I can't
Oh,
tell
that's right.
whether to
Yeah,
pronunciate the Z or the S on that name, but that's what I call her.
yeah. She's an
She's also
OG.
been around for a long time.
Yeah, she's
Um,
great.
she's great. Love her.
Yeah.
Zokester, Shifty says.
Oh, and Shifty as well. Shifty as well.
Shifty also has been around a long time.
Shifty was a high
Yeah.
roller back then with the Vigil. I used to hang out there a lot. But yes, a lot of things changed, like people moving around groups, but overall it feels similar to back then. But I'm glad I came back. I've been having a lot of fun.
It's probably more different in the aspect of role play in a group
Yeah,
rather than by yourself. I
yeah,
mean,
that's the biggest difference for sure. Um, that first group experience. But it's been great. You know, I've loved it. A lot of good people in the coalition, guys. Come to the House of Hope. We'll treat you good. We'll give you
but don't
some.
stay too long. They don't want
No,
people to
and
stay too
please
long
don't
nowadays.
shoot us, guys. I'm tired of getting shot at the House of Hope. Please, just
They
come
have
here.
so many people that shoot them. Like,
I think,
it's
yeah,
not even the same people. It's just like
Sorry.
everyone.
yeah. Well, no, at least with you
Oh,
guys, you
the
seen his
truth comes
mummies
out.
or
I was
whatever. And,
recently there, but I wasn't shooting, I promise.
yeah, you didn't shoot. You didn't
Or
shoot.
if
I
you
did
are gonna shoot,
something else, but I'm still sorry.
if
It's
you are
okay.
gonna shoot, give some like clues or something.
Yeah, leave a little
Some
note. Leave a
recourse.
little riddle
Leave a
or
note.
something.
Yeah, do something.
Yeah. Or just do whatever the fuck you want,
I mean,
whatever.
it was a
It's
funny,
fun.
silly thing, but I totally understand. It feels bad to die over and over. I get it. It's not.
Yeah.
That's not fun.
It was entertaining watching it back from your
Yeah,
perspective.
especially as like a good community camp. Like it's
Yeah.
hard to take that on the chin over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I definitely get it.
We all kind of
100%.
knew what we were signing up for with the community
Yeah.
camp.
I think the solution is there just needs to be about 10 more community camps so we can spread the
Yeah,
violence out, you
Spread it
guys.
out. Spread the
exactly.
violence
Yeah,
out.
we
Yeah.
need like an off day, like a
Yes. We
leave the
could do it.
house for a
If we
long day.
had more, we could do a rotation around the map,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
What I'm saying
Yeah.
Not
is
all on the same day,
more community
but
camps, guys. More community camps. More, more,
Yes, come
more.
on.
more.
Get the dugout back. Come on. What are we doing?
Oh my gosh, yes. Shout out to the dugout. Bring it back, please.
Yes. Yes, yes.
All right. So our next question is from Wisp. And Wisp says,
Ooh.
I think in general for all players, there's the common challenge of time, whether it's how long you can play that night to how many times you can play in a week. While I know luck is a huge factor, I wanted to ask if Bonk has any particular tips or methods for managing time on the server, such as prioritizing one story over another, or choosing when or when not to move on from an interaction.
I have no I have no advice at all. I don't know. I've gotten pretty lucky so far with like interactions like that. I remember thinking when you guys kidnapped Gary from the house, like that was like right after I logged in, pretty much. And I was thinking, imagine this happened like after 5 hours, and I was ready to log out, going on this long road trip. Um, but I don't know. I mean, that's pretty much where I'm at right now, where I can only log on like once or twice a week for a short amount of time. So it is kind of hard, juggling the time and deciding how to spend your time when you're logged in.
Yeah.
I wish I had the answers. Um, but yeah, I'd say just go with whatever happens. And if you
I
don't have
mean, definitely
yeah
having a goal when you like knowing kind of what your goal is going to be that day is
yeah
helpful. Like, I'm going to just farm today, or I'm going to go to this community camp, or I'm going to try to visit this person or that person, or go and do this event.
yeah
It kind of helps. Or like, I want to talk to this person. I'm going to try to find them, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Also, logging out in a place that is like, if you have a plan for like the next day, if you have something going on in character and story that, like, oh, I need to talk to this person, logging out near that when you log out,
yeah.
helpful. So when you log in, you can do the thing, you can check whatever you got to do, be close to where you need to be and not have to worry about getting shot on the way.
That's
Useful.
actually a really good one.
That's a really
That
good
would be
spot
yeah
of advice. I've done that a couple times where I just get to the place and then log out.
yeah. Just save yourself the
Mm-hmm.
Save
the
yourself the
headache.
heartache.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a really good. That would be my yeah. That would be my one piece of advice, I guess. Other than that, it's hard to really plan for anything. You kind of
Yeah.
just have to take it as it comes.
Yeah.
Good question though, Wisp. If you're here.
And I think the other questions I'm seeing that were asked in the Discord were actually already answered by people in the Discord. They weren't really specifically towards this stream. So I'm trying to, I know some people asked questions earlier on, and I'm kind of scrolling up in my chats to see what those were. Actually, not too much in between them, so let me see. I think this is the first one. How important do you think character development with a goal in mind compares to organic development?
Hmm.
That's a good
That's
question.
a decent that's a good question. Um they both kind of have their own merits. Like having kind of just a loose idea of your character and not really having any goals, just like waiting for whatever happens is a totally viable way to play. It's just easier to get into RP and story with goals. Um, I'm trying to think about like in any good like scene, each character has their own, goals. If you don't have a goal, it's a little harder to kind of, you know, see wherever, that story is going. Um, but you can just like literally go with the flow and make it up as you go along. I do that sometimes where something will happen in character and then you're just like, I'm gonna make up some shit about that on the spot. And and then maybe create a goal out of it based on what happens. But yeah, I think having goals is a lot easier to get into RP than not. Just like any sort of acting or improv like thing, it's just a lot easier to have a goal in mind.
Yeah. Plus, it kind of
That's
like
kind of
puts
how
you
I
out there.
operate too. Like I think I said that earlier too. Is that I only have so much time to play, and that's kind of also answers the question for my own perspective on managing time. It's just I have to have an idea of what I want to do that day, and attempt to do it.
Yeah.
And that's how I approach my character's development because Oh, I know that there's some people that can play every single day, and a lot happens, and you miss a lot in a single day of Doug because so much is
FOMO, dude.
happening. Um,
Yep.
but if I didn't approach it that way, I wouldn't get very much done. So, um,
Yeah.
I think that both styles just work differently for different people. I think that an organic development style works for people that have a lot of time to spend. And
Yeah.
and
If you can just be there and see what
Yeah.
happens, if you have the time
yeah,
to do that, great. Go do
exactly.
that.
Exactly.
But for if you don't have a lot of time, like having goals is definitely helpful.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Gotta focus in, get some story going.
Exactly.
I feel like every stream has this question, but I'll answer it again. It's directed towards me. How did you develop Polly's British accent?
It's
I've
so good.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. I watch a lot of Peppa Pig with my kids. It
Oh my
started
god.
there. It
Yeah,
started
it's
with
so
Peppa
good.
Pig. I like
It's so
Peppa
good.
Pig's accent and I've heard it a lot, and we have books of Peppa Pig where I was reading it in her voice, and then I decided to just get it really exaggerated and add some kind of old-fashioned stuff into it. I'm told that it sounds most like an old Birmingham accent. And I've also had somebody in character walk up to Polly and talk about like late 1800s London and Jack the Ripper and how it reminds them of that time.
That's so great.
But it all started with, if you jump in muddy puddles, you must wear your boots. And
Yep.
that's where it started.
So basically, have kids and then
Yeah,
watch
there you go.
watch their
Yeah.
content and then copy their accents.
Take the RP seriously, guys. Come on. To have kids and then
Yeah, take it seriously. Have
Yes.
kids.
Serious.
I was so when I heard your actual voice, I remember being shocked. I
I
thought for sure you were British.
yeah, what a compliment, honestly.
It's true. So
I've
good.
never done an accent before this, and I was really
Yeah.
nervous to start, and I honestly don't know where the like I don't really know where exactly all the pieces came from. I know Peppa Pig obviously is a big one because that just got me started on doing doing that style of accent, but I just had to get over the nerves and start doing it, and that's what came out. So somebody else described it as when you type with like a mixture of caps and lowercase. Somebody was in, I think it might have been Barnaby's chat, and they were like, "She talks like this with all the mixtures," and I was
That's
like,
so funny.
yeah,
pretty
pretty
much. I mean,
much."
the up and down cadence of everything.
Yeah.
My name is Polly.
Yeah.
Very
Got a
up and
nice
down.
flow.
So yeah, that's how I did it. That's where it comes from, sort of.
Peppa Pig.
Peppa Pig. I made a joke to Buttons one time. I said, "If you jump in bloody puddles, you must wear your boots." I kind of broke the fourth wall with him a little bit. So our next question is from Uncanny Hobo in the YouTube chat. They asked this a while ago. It says, "Just starting out, I find it hard to use a voice change and mannerisms. Does that just develop as you go along?" So I kind of segued into this question accidentally.
Yeah, that's a good
but
one.
yeah, it yeah, it does kind of just develop as you go along. I can speak from experience watching clowns develop their voices and their mannerisms. We actually have a person that's interacted with the clowns quite a lot, and they recently made a comment to us like, "You guys are developing and changing. Your voices are getting better. You're getting more consistent. Like, you don't sound exactly how you sounded when you first started or when I first met you." Like, it is a time thing. It's a practice thing. It develops over time. It gets better over time. You get more comfortable doing it over time. And you
Yep.
just have to give yourself grace and know that everybody around you isn't judging you. And it's just that's
a
your voice.
process.
It's a process.
Yeah.
It's definitely a process. And I also tell people that you don't have to go out and do this crazy accent that's so far removed from what you really sound like. Ember does a great job, and so does Gary, of just doing a slightly altered version of how they actually speak.
Yep.
And really, that's all it takes.
Just a different
Talking a little bit
cadence.
slower, talking a little bit
Yeah.
louder. Another person that I can think of where all they really would, I think it's Big E. All he really would have had to do, I mean, he takes it the next step further to do a really, really raspy voice, but just talking as fast as he does and never taking a breath.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just simple things like that change how you sound.
Yep.
So, how did you like decide? Did your voices just kind of come out of you naturally, or did you kind of work with different things until you decided on which one felt right?
Punk.
I don't remember how Gary. I remember. I think I wanted to. I think I was trying to imitate uh Baba Booey, Gary Dillabate from the Howard Stern show. He has such a weird voice, and I was just on like Namalsk or Deadfall or something, and it was not. It wasn't good. Like it didn't sound like him, but people seemed to like Gary. I don't know why. So I don't know. Just naturally, it made sense to try Gary when I came back to Doug. But that's how we started. And no, I haven't taken any acting classes. Can't tell if he's being sarcastic though.
Yeah, we ask you, you're a thespian, if you've had any acting classes.
No, no.
I
Someday
have.
maybe. Who knows? Really?
I have. I actually talked about this last Sunday, that I told a really embarrassing story about one of my experiences doing theater. I won't
Oh
do
wow.
that. I won't do that here. If you guys want to hear my embarrassing story, you'll have to go back and watch it. It involves nerves and
Oh yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I did theater competitively, and I did improv, and I did stuff like that.
That's awesome.
So that's where some of it comes from. I just
Yeah.
want to be on stage, and so I make Daisy my stage now, I guess. I'm kind of scrolling through questions for myself. If you see any in your chat, please feel free to read them out, because I am still
I got nothing. Nobody's over here.
Oh, well, no, that means it's all on me. Okay.
It's all on you.
Well, feel free to
but as far
chit-chat
as
while I'm looking for
Ember's
another one.
story, or not her story, her voice. Yeah, I don't know. It came from just the character itself. I had done a couple of different accents, and I could have gone a couple of ways with it, but I don't know. Like based on her backstory, and just who she was, it just made sense that she would be very sort of even keeled, and I didn't really feel like doing an accent for her, to be honest, and it didn't make sense to do an accent for her with where she came from. So I just sort of, made it what it is, and it's her voice is more of just a communication of who she is, because she is young, so that's why I take it a little, little higher than my normal voice. And she's very intelligent and sort of even keeled because, well, I don't want to spoil what her backstory came and stuff, but in any case, she's very accustomed to the world that they're in. And she has no delusions about anything. She's very aware of, she just accepts everything as, hit my mic. She accepts everything as it is. So that's kind of what the voice kind of communicates, is that she just, it is what it is, and she just has a job to do, and that's what she's going to do.
Yeah. I love how soft spoken she is too. Because you
I
have to
do
like
too.
actually focus on what she's saying. Because it makes.
That's on purpose.
Yeah, no, it's smart. It's very smart.
She definitely only speaks when she has something to say. She's that type of intelligent person. So,
Yeah.
which I love playing those characters, because those are the characters that like kind of like in the beginning get kind of overshadowed. Like they're just kind of in the background, and then those people that find them and talk to them are like, oh, there's more to this. And Ember as a character for me is super complex, and I probably I don't know, she's got a lot going on, but No, the voice is easy on me for one. I've done some voices that I cannot do for long periods of time, and it destroys my voice. Ember is one of those nice, soft, like ones that I can just kind of do forever and ever, and everything's just fine.
Yeah. The
Um,
anti-Big E,
and
if you will.
with how she has to interact with the world as a historian, she has to be able to interact with people and be, you know, I don't know. Yeah, she has to win people over in a way, even the bad guys. So
Yeah.
I also made it for that reason to be this very gentle, calming sort of voice and presence so that it would be plausible that she could get into these situations without, dying. And she has, surprisingly, in lots of situations where people have not shot her because she is so just disarming. People have
Yeah.
told me she's very disarming. And some people find her intimidating, and I don't really get that, but it depends.
I think that for some people, it's like the quiet person in the room is off-putting. It's kind of like the opposite of when you were like the shy kid in school and you had the people that would avoid you, and then you had the people that seemed to be obsessed with getting you to talk to them.
Yes.
It has that
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
effect, I think. The quiet, soft-spoken Ember with all of
Yes.
the knowledge she has. It's a little intimidating maybe for some
Yeah.
people.
I could see that,
Also,
actually.
your her blase attitude about what's going on in the world because she doesn't know anything different is also in a way intimidating. It's like, why is she not freaking out? Why is she so
Yeah.
calm right now?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And
But
that's also what makes Mamie and her such a wonderful pair as well, because Mamie's freaking out all the time,
Yep.
and Ember's like the exact opposite. So it's a wonderful contrast of like attitudes about the world.
I need to shout her out. I wish that she was here. Jackie
I
couldn't be here
know she couldn't
today.
make it.
She's got some stuff going on. We're gonna give her a shout out in the Twitch chat. We miss you, Jackie, if you're watching this
Shout out.
back.
We miss you.
Shout out, Jackie.
I hope that you're doing better soon and you can be with us
Yes.
for the next one, which there will be a next one. I'm already thinking about what the next one's going to be. We had a really good suggestion in the Discord, and I think it's a natural progression into that, to be honest, because we talked a lot about conflict. Um, so that's probably what we'll dive more into on the next one. I have one last YouTube question. What's the best approach to joining a group? Is it in RP? Is it in Discord? What do you guys think? I'm gonna let you guys answer because I really gotta pee.
Go
Okay.
for it. I would say RP for sure.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
but
Organically.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would, interact with whoever it is a few times, see if it makes sense, and then kind of take it from there. But I for sure wouldn't just reach out to some random group
I mean, you
off
still
on.
can,
You
especially
could,
if you're more of a PvPer than anything.
yeah,
Um, you can definitely join those groups that way. But as far as the RP side, yeah, getting a feel for a group and how they operate in game first, and if you sort of vibe with them, is a lot better in my opinion than just randomly joining. I mean, they'll probably have you be a what do they call that? Like a recruit or
yeah. I think it
a
depends
prospect,
on the group.
whatever it may be, first usually to kind of get a feel for that. But yeah. But even then, those people are still kind of considered a part of that group if they've been accepted to do that. But I know a lot of the groups only recruit via in-game means and interactions. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Most of the time, I've seen people reach out on Discord. They're told to find out in game. Flig.
Oh, I have a question in my chat. Um,
Okay.
what are your feelings on people in Discord calls while in both RP or in a group combat situation? Is it power gaming? Not on Doug, it's not. They do recommend that things like alarms, if you're getting attacked or something, are minimal. Like that you don't just like send out a call and then everyone gets on and you sort of do that. If they just try to use in character in game means for stuff like that. But if you're already like in the same space and you're in a Discord, I mean uh, that's up to each group, but I can't remember what the exact rule is in Doug for that. Um, I'm pretty sure it's just like all the like Discord alarms where like they're nowhere near you, they're not even on, and then if you send out an alarm, they'll come. Like if your
Yeah.
group comes in and like, helps the situation, that's kind of like, I don't know if it's a hard rule or just like a guideline. I'd have to look at the rules. You can look at the rules too. Um, but I know some people find it confusing to do that, to be in both Discord and in game. Um, some people, I mean, it's been happening for a long time. I don't do it as much nowadays as back in the day because it can get a little much. And I also like to stay in character as much as possible. So even if I'm in a Discord, it's usually like deafened or muted unless something specific comes up. Just because, yeah, I mean, people do it all the time,
Yeah.
but I don't really do it as much because immersion is a thing that
Yeah.
I like to have, and being focused on, what's happening in game and how my character's feeling and thinking. A little harder to do when you've got like a lot of background chatter happening. Uh,
Those
both in
Discord
Daisy, Red M, 5M. Yeah, most servers on Reddit and 5M have direct rules against being in third-party chats, so don't do that.
Yeah.
They specifically, most of the servers have third-party chat rules where you cannot be in a Discord
And
and in game at the same time.
on Daisy too, I know some people, if it's like a hostile interaction, they're holding a gun to you and they tell you to do something and you don't respond in like 2 or 3 seconds, they're gonna assume you're on Discord and they're probably gonna shoot you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Also,
yeah.
be considerate if they take your radio. It's typically if you have your radio taken away from you, you can no longer talk in your Discord. Like that's kind of the general rule of thumb
Yeah.
in role play, is if they take your radio, it's like you can no longer communicate with people, um, which is why they do that sometimes. If they're like robbing you or whatever they're doing, if they take your radio, that's why it's like, okay, there's no more communicating in Discords.
Yeah.
I think it's a good, just like gentleman's agreement that if you're getting held up, to just not. I mute. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't tell
yeah.
people, like, if I'm off by myself and something's happening, I'm not communicating that to the people that I'm sitting in Discord with. Um, and pretty much whenever I'm playing, I'm in there, but I'm muted. I'm really only in the Discord for, like, if something weird is going on and I don't understand what's happening, I'll pop in, I'll, like, unmute and be like, is everything okay? Why is it, what's happening? Why
Yeah.
can't we, why is
Yeah.
the lock not working? What's going on?
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
the rest of the time, if I find somebody out and about, I'm not telling my
Holy
group.
shit.
I'm not telling my group.
Amish Zed?
Oh my
Oh my
gosh. Blast from
lord.
the past. Hello.
With the monster raid.
Wow, thank you, Ish. I really appreciate that. Hi, everybody. Oh my gosh. Ish and I go way back. So happy to see you guys here. You're in my
Oh
chat
my
for a change.
Jesus.
Wow.
Crazy. Crazy. We're just talking about Doug and roleplay today. And tomorrow I'll be streaming actual gameplay if you guys want to check out some Dark Carnival stuff. But today we're just doing our third episode of Roleplay 101. We also have on my YouTube channel, I have a playlist for these. If you want to check that out at my YouTube channel, I'll try to remember to link my YouTube channel at the end here so you guys can check out the other episodes. Yeah, so we're just at the question and answer portion and we're talking about character development. We were actually probably getting close to wrapping things up, but I'm happy to take a couple more questions if you guys still have time.
Yeah. Yeah. I can
There
hang
was
out.
a question, one last question that asked about Barry and Barnby and if what our thoughts were on his effect on the server. And I kind of, not really even specifically Barnby, because I know Ish has also been playing on the server more lately. And I think it does depend on the streamer and the community a little bit what their effect is and
Yeah, for sure.
whether they are enjoyable. But
Yeah.
when it comes to Barnby, I love Barnby. I think he's great. I think the Barnby army is awesome and very
They are
supportive.
so supportive.
I've
Yeah,
had
they're
so
great.
much support from the army. I love you guys. I appreciate you.
A little too pro
And
clown for me, the Barbie army, but they're okay, I guess.
a little too pro clown.
Barbie
Definitely
army.
not biased
No,
at all, Bonk.
No.
we love the Barbie army. They're
We
good
love the
people.
geezers.
Yes, the geezers.
I
Shout out to
also
geezers.
really enjoy, I've been a part of Ish's community for a very long time. I met him 6 years ago playing on Doug, and we have kept in touch through his streams ever since. And I really like his community as well. He's really collected a great group of people, and I love them as well. And he's always shouting me out even when I'm not there. I will watch the VODs and somehow Doug will get brought up, and Ish has remembered me for 6 years. He has told people about me, told me about people about my writing and he always gives me compliments. So shout out to Ish and shout out to everybody from Ish's chat. I appreciate that so much.
Yeah.
He doesn't forget.
I
He
remember
really
watching
doesn't.
Ish's stuff like back like 2 or 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. And such quality content, honestly. I haven't interacted with the community much, but I've watched a lot of his stuff and it's really awesome.
Yeah.
I enjoyed
I think
freaking
it
him out
hurts.
when Ish played. I'm looking
Mm.
forward
really?
to getting the opportunity to do it again.
Has he been back on Doug?
He's been
Ish?
playing on Doug. He actually came and
Hell
met
yeah.
the clowns not that
Oh
long
my
ago.
goodness.
Didn't meet my
He met
clown
Polly?
because I'm
I was
never
gonna say.
around.
Yeah.
Didn't
He's in
come on
for it.
Sunday. That was your mistake,
Yeah.
Ish. If you watch us back and see all the nice things I've said about you, I know he probably dipped out right away. But yeah, he didn't get to meet
Going
me
to a
yet.
birthday party.
Yeah. Birthday parties are really important.
They
Yeah.
are.
You
Yep.
gotta go. Gotta
Gotta go.
celebrate.
You gotta do it.
I'm
We are
really
good
sorry
people.
if I missed any questions over on Twitch. It's I was scrolled up, but then I got raided, so I wanted to go see what that was. If you don't if you are still here and you still want your question answered, now is the time to ask it again. Sorry. I tried to see them all. But yeah. Character development, super important. I like doing it. The two people on the screen with me are excellent role players, and they each have their own channels as well. I've been shouting them out. I can only do, apparently on Twitch, you can only shout someone out like once every 2 minutes. You can't do it over and over. Why?
Oh my
I don't
goodness.
know.
No clue.
Oh,
Twitch, get your shit together.
apparently I spelled your channel name wrong.
There was a question, how do y'all feel about the availability of RO at the moment? Maybe it's just me, but I feel
Oh,
like
I
it's been
think she
hard to
means,
find
I
people.
think Kaya means RP. I think that wasn't maybe a
Oh,
typo.
okay. Availability of RP, hard to find people. I mean, it depends on where you're going. I mean, if you're going to like
Yeah.
House of Hope, I mean, there's pretty good RP that can happen there. Community camps are usually a good place to go for RP.
Yeah.
There's some groups that are very, good for RP as well. So it just depends on where you're going. I know it's hard when KOS is allowed and you get shot in between sometimes, but I think it's still out there a lot. It may be a little
Yeah.
harder for some people to get on with RP, but it definitely still happens, and there's definitely still story moving. It just depends on what sort of circle and like bubble you're in. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's still happening. I guarantee it. Every day it's still happening, and there's so much that happens on a daily basis. It just depends on who your friends are and where you're going. What sort of areas. I will say the north is generally more RP heavy than the south. That's just the way that it is, because it's a little harder for people to get up there. So that's usually where the RPers sort of congregate. But that being said, there are some good RP groups like down south as well. I know Glovo is a place, the Fireflies, the Woodsmen, Eclipse is down there if they're still around. Who else is
Yeah.
down there? If I could picture a map in my head. But yeah, there's all sorts of groups down there that it's just a little more shooty bang bang down
Much
there.
more hot. Much
It's a
hotter
hot
down there.
zone.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know what? To be honest, I've had some really interesting and funny interactions that have happened on the coast too
Yeah.
and down south. I've run into people that I would not have normally run into there. We just happen to both have unfortunate circumstances befall us around the same time, and then we bump into each other and we both have nothing, so we have nothing but our voice to deal with each other, and so we talk. And
Yeah.
I've ended up talking to people that I would not have to typically talk to. So there is some fun to be had down south too.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah,
it is a little
especially
bit
those
more
freshy
shooty.
interactions
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
sometimes bring people together,
It's
depending on who
true.
you
Plus,
meet.
I don't really get bummed out if I get killed because it's like a whole new adventure you get to start, and you might meet some people you otherwise wouldn't have. You know, like a
Exactly,
new
Mountain
Because
co-op.
everyone
Cows.
goes to the coast.
Exactly.
The commonality of us all.
Exactly.
Exactly. And thank you to
Yeah.
the anonymous gift. An anonymous gifter gave Jewel. Wow, that was very nice of them. I
Oh.
feel like there were definitely more questions that I missed in the Twitch chat, and I feel really bad. I'm trying to scroll. I'm trying. A lot of things have happened.
Yes.
A
Yeah.
lot of honk
You don't.
honks
If
have
you
happened.
all want to ask your questions in the RP 101
Yes.
Discord, you can do
You
that
can't.
too. If it wasn't answered here today, if we missed it, we have a Discord that you can join and join in the conversation.
I don't know if I can do a Discord link in these chats. I don't know if it will work.
Really.
It depends on if
You
you
may
have
be able
links
to copy
open
paste
on your.
it. I don't know.
Should be able to.
I'll do that really quickly while I'm thinking about it. So let me do an invite and get an invite link. That's not what I want. I want invite people.
What's y'all's trick to guiding people to roleplay when you see they don't grasp the concept? Oh, is that like when you start using words like when they start saying server or something like that? Just tell them, or you ask them if they were a server at a restaurant type thing? Is that what you're talking about, Worm? Like when they're just. Yeah, usually they'll catch on. Like if you start questioning that shit, like, what do you mean? This land? What are you talking about?
Yeah, if they start
Yep.
saying that, that's a pretty good clue that they're.
Yeah. They'll usually kind
They'll
of
usually
get
tip
the
you
hint.
off. They don't look upon it too harshly. They just, if you hear that, just know that that's
Yeah.
a clue. I do that sometimes. I'll be like, yeah, when they start saying server or like
Yeah.
respawn or
Like, what do you mean
stuff like
spawn?
that, just like, ooh, okay, what
A
are you talking about?
spawn?
He's nuts. I don't know what he's talking about. He's a little
Yeah.
delusional.
Yeah. They, for the most part,
He
they'll
thinks he's in a game.
Yeah,
get used to talk.
there's been some references to the Matrix made out in Chernarus. We're in a
Yeah.
server.
Yeah, that's part of the.
But yeah,
Just kind of. That's never gonna change, I think.
I do the same
No,
thing. I
it
just kind
happens all
of
the time.
I either overlook it because I understand that they're new, or I think I tend to my strategy tends to just be to lead by example and just I won't. It is fun sometimes to poke back and say funny things like that. What do you mean we're in a server?
Yeah.
But I think
Mhm.
more often I just overlook it and just keep doing what I'm doing, and eventually, usually people catch on that
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's not a server, it's this
If they're
land.
this land that we
Yeah.
live in together.
Yeah.
I have a question from chat. How do y'all feel about people that take RP too serious to the point of it boiling over to IRL?
Ooh, that's a good question.
That's not good.
Should they not RP or do they need to rethink
That's
their
not
mentality for it?
good. Don't do it.
I would
Yeah.
never say that someone needs to not RP. If you enjoy RP, you should RP.
Yeah.
But as far as it boiling over to IRL, that has a lot to do with skills in separation of in character and out of character. Um, taking RP too seriously, um, like I consider myself a pretty serious RPer, um, but I'm also understanding of, you know, I can have a silly moment and I can have, that sort of thing, but I do it in character. that's that's my type of serious. So,
Yeah.
I know some people can be pretty loosey goosey with some of that on Doug, where they start, putting in the server words and they start, sort of just, if they're feeling kind of relaxed and they're not really thinking about it, they can sometimes slip back into those, using those things to communicate as if it was just a normal game. But um, taking it too seriously to it boiling over to IRL, yeah, again, that's just separation. It's just a skill that some people have and some people don't, and some people don't care about it. And that's, you can't control other people. You can only control yourself. So,
How do you like work on that though? Do you like just kind of take a step back for a little
yeah,
bit?
taking a step back, I do the 10 count. I recommend people do the 10 count sort of a thing, where like if it's something where like it's okay to feel your character's feelings. It happens all the time. Like it's just a product of us being human beings. Even in acting, like situations happen to you and you react to them. But taking those 10 seconds to stop and take a moment to separate yourself and be like, okay, is this my feelings? Is this
Mm,
their feelings? Like, is it
yeah.
just a situation? Is it something that I'm not okay with?
Yeah.
That kind of a thing. So, kind of like taking that 10 seconds to step back and think about where that emotion is coming from, if it's you or if it's just the situation your character is in, and sort of, stepping outside of it to really
Yeah.
have that be separate. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
it's an easy
Yes.
thing to slip into as a new RP, though, to
Oh, I
just
can see
react
for
as
sure.
your
Yeah.
character and get pissed off at something.
Take things
Um,
personally and
take things personally.
kind of ruins the
Yeah.
all of a sudden the hobby
But you
And
you literally just have to take the 10 seconds and think, this is not about me personally. It's just role play, like it's in character, like it's
Mhm.
yeah.
okay.
I can
That's good
understand
advice.
where some of it comes from too, especially in a game like Daisy and Doug where the stakes are so high, and when you die, you lose everything, and it's a lot easier, I think, in this setting to get a little bit hurt personally, and um, because if you, I keep saying it, it's time sensitive. You're putting a lot of real life time into it, and then something happens and you die or you lose everything, and so I think it's
Yeah.
natural to have those knee jerk reactions sometimes. But the mature thing is, like what Andy said, take a breath, take 10 seconds, take a break,
Walk away,
step
take a lap,
away.
whatever you got to do.
If you die and you see that you are dead screen, a lot of the time, I don't respond. I'm
Yeah.
like, and that's my game time done for the day. I'm gonna go do
Yeah.
Yeah.
something that makes me happy.
Or you just let it
Yeah.
sit on that black screen and you just go
Yeah, or
walk
just
around for
go
5 minutes.
get a drink of water, step outside, take a deep breath, and then get ready
Yeah.
for the next
Yeah.
adventure. Like, I really liked Bonk's outlook. Like, he doesn't get upset. He's just like, it's time for my next adventure. Here
Yeah,
I go.
coast time. Let's go meet some
Although
people on the coast.
to be fair, I haven't gotten killed like in the middle of like a big RP thing that could have maybe pissed me off. Usually when I die, I'm like farming or something, and it's like okay,
Yeah,
whatever,
no
just
big
start
deal. Yeah.
over. But like if it was on the way to Green Mountain after you guys kidnapped me, I probably would have been pretty bummed out.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
yeah, I
that
could see that
I
taking a
think we
step back.
we all would have been bummed out if you had died on that trip, and we were all incredibly close to dying on that
I
trip just
know,
from starvation.
I know.
Um,
I had no idea how bad it was till I watched your stream back.
it was
You were
bad.
legit dying.
Yeah. I
That was
was
a great
dying at
time.
the same time as you, and you were dying from that gas.
Though.
You just died quicker than me.
What an ending.
In
But yeah.
fact, the threat of starvation was distracting. I didn't even really pay attention that closely to what was going on because it's like if I don't eat, I'm gonna actually die. I really liked what Hot and Soupy, also known as Worm, said. It's good to assume positive intent. Assume people are playing a character, even if it feels like it's fully out of character for some reason. Just assume that it's not. He said that to me many times before. I think it's great advice.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. Like, most people, like, when you play, you don't do anything to fuck up somebody else's day, usually. Like, you're not going into it being, like, malicious and, like, I'm going to fuck up their day. Like, that's not how most people approach playing. So, you shouldn't take it that way. Like, most of the time, now, there are people who do. And that's usually because they get personally upset about whatever. And that is what it is. That's the internet as a whole. That's just how it is. But 99% of the time, they're just doing what they do and they're not maliciously coming after you for any particular reason. They're just playing. They're just doing whatever. Either they don't know about RP or they're just, they're just doing their own thing. They're just having their own time. And it's not a personal attack on you. It's just the role play or however that's how their character is or however it is. Like, it's not a personal thing. They're not doing it maliciously to make you pissed off. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Try not to take it personally. It's just a game. We're all having fun.
yeah. Again, in the moment, I get that you get angry in the moment reacting to it. That's why I say take a step
Yeah.
away, kind of calm down a little bit.
Which is good advice for sure. Just take a breath.
Yep. I agree. I think that's probably like a #1 top tier advice.
Yeah.
To be honest.
It helps with separation when you can really take that step back and be like, okay.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
It helps you not internalize it,
No.
I don't have lots of time now, but when I had more time, I've had things happen where, I'm like, you know what, maybe I'll just give this a week. Big stuff happens, and it's like, I don't want to overreact, so I need to take a break.
Yeah. Breaks are very common in RP.
Yeah.
Yes. Some people only need a day, a few hours, a couple minutes. Some of us take weeks, even months, and then come back. It's healthy. Whatever
It's very
amount of
healthy.
time you need, that's what you need. Don't be afraid to
Yeah.
take that time.
Yeah, because you can get burnt out pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, burnout is a real thing. Don't push yourself.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
be playing
Breaks
every
good.
day, but I know it would burn me out, to be honest, if I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. It also helps perspective, again, to take those steps back and kind of separate from the emotion of whatever your character is going through or whatever situation has happened. Taking that step back is very good for you.
I wonder who's in the lead with these clown noses, you guys. If anybody watching this back, I should have put the chat on the screen. That's what I should have done to fill the empty space, is put the chat on, because they keep honking the clown nose during the
Oh,
stream.
it's a competition?
It's a competition, yeah. So it's on a 5-minute timer, and whoever hits it first gets it, and it closes out for the next 5 minutes, and there's a counter. And I don't know who's in the lead right now. 5 seems like a lot of times for only a few hours of streaming. People are fighting over getting the clown
Gotta
nose.
be Worm.
It's Worm.
Worm, you goober.
I only see one more question for me, and then maybe we can take this as the last question and say our goodbyes. It's not really roleplay related. I guess sort of, but not. Are there any recommendations on how to better learn the map? I can't read the signs. Honestly, for me, it's just time and playing. I sometimes cheat. I don't know if everybody sees it as cheating to have the I Survive map open while you're playing.
People do that all the
I
time.
do it all the time.
It helps you learn the map, especially if you're just starting out.
It will help you learn the map. Just to have, I highly recommend I Survive. That's a great map. It shows a lot of information. I don't know if it has the other DayZ maps on there, but it definitely has the one Doug is using.
It does.
So I use that all the time. Nobody will judge you for doing it. Well, maybe some people might judge you for doing it, but they don't really matter.
Yeah, no.
Definitely just time spent in I would say concentrate on one area first, and then once you learn that area, you can kind of have a frame of reference for like other areas. That's how I started. I actually started out in Daisy near like Olsha. That's where like my frame of reference was, and I sort of spread out from there. Um, so yeah, definitely have a home base sort of area, and then sort of spread out, having that as a frame of reference. And
Yeah.
making note of different topography and things that you see in the game in different places.
Yeah.
Um,
You come up with a certain landmarks that kind of stick in your
yeah,
head. I'm
the
so
certain
bad with
layout of towns, the certain things
yeah,
that towns have that other towns don't.
yeah,
Um, I mean, at this point, you can kind of, especially on the coast, like you can kind of recognize where the heck you are because you've been to that town so many times at that point.
yeah,
Like I know when
exactly.
it's Cherno, I know when it's Electro, I know when it's, and you just have those landmarks. Like Electro has the church on the hill,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Cherno has the airplane crash or whatever. Like you just get to know the place.
Yeah. Just gotta give it time.
Yep,
Keep playing.
keep playing.
Things will start to make sense. And yeah, I
Mhm.
Survive is really good too.
I also like I Survive because you can make a group with it and you can mark things and if you're running with a couple people, you can easily mark a place on the map and be like, this is where I buried this. This is where the
Yeah,
crate is,
Uh,
that kind of stuff. It makes it a lot easier as well. Because I'm terrible at directions, you guys. And I'm not gonna remember where I did that thing unless it's marked on a map.
yep.
yeah.
So, yep. So I use it for that kind of stuff too. It's a great asset, and nobody will think that much about it if you use it. And also, they won't know if you don't tell them. So,
Yeah, that's true.
but
They won't
yeah.
judge you.
Unless anybody else has any more questions about character development, I think that we've exhausted everything and
We did it.
we did it. We did it. We went a little over 2 hours, but I think it was worth it because
That's okay. It's worth it.
I enjoyed having Bonk on a lot.
Oh, thank you.
I liked hearing about your perspective and things you've been experiencing. So, and I liked the
Thank
questions
you.
that were specifically for you.
Yeah, that's great. I was very happy you asked me to come on. I had a
Good.
great time.
I'm
Yay.
glad.
And I learned a lot too because I'm still very new with RP. I'm still learning every day.
Wouldn't have known.
So, so thank you so much.
Well,
But
we
you guys
started
taught me a
doing
lot.
this with new people in mind. I really think it's a great idea, and I noticed that there were a lot of newcomers, and I was like, we should do this, and I was really lucky that Andy and Jackie were on board, and
Of
so
course.
we kind of developed these episodes with the new person in mind. Um, but
Yeah.
uh, and I'm glad that we had you on because you were sort of new to it, and I like hearing the perspective of someone that's just starting out and learning
Yeah.
still.
We're all
And
in our own places in our RP journey.
Exactly.
Everyone starts
exactly.
somewhere.
There's something for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yep.
yeah, I learned a lot just from this stream. So thank you guys.
Woo!
Yeah, thank you for coming in and talking to us.
Yay.
Of course.
And
Anytime.
thank you to everybody that stayed and watched the whole thing. And thank you to
Yay.
anybody who's watching this after on YouTube. I will link my YouTube in there for you guys so you can, if anybody's just coming in or hasn't seen the whole thing, you can. That's why the stream went black for a second, is because I opened my YouTube channel so I could get the link, and apparently OBS didn't like that, and it's probably gonna go black again because I'm getting it.
Uh-oh. Damn you, OBS.
No, it's also hiding my cursor, which is also really fun. I love not having a cursor. I don't need one. That's so simple. Maybe Ash can help me. Ash, do you have the YouTube chat open? He already linked something before. I'm sure he's still here. My moderator. Please help. Please help. Do mod things. Please help.
Full up.
But yeah, um, Bonkerton's right above me. He streams Daisy as well. He plays a character named Gary, and we all love Gary. We all love Bonk. Shout outs to Bonk. I've been shouting both of you out throughout the stream when I
Yeah,
can.
me too.
And then at the very, very top is Andy, and she plays the character Ember, who's like a historian on the server. Very cool character. And for anybody that's still here from the raid, I know that Ish has been playing on this server, and if you're interested in seeing the perspective of any other characters, you've got me. I'm Polly. I'm in the Dark Carnival. Gary's in the Coalition. And Ember is
I am a
her own thing.
on my own thing. I run the Prometheus
Yes.
Archives. It's a historical society. Come by, share some stories.
Hell yeah.
If I'm around, which is very rarely, but I
That's
hope
Daisy.
leave a
That's
note.
Doug.
Leave a note.
know?
We'll do something.
That's good advice, actually. Leave notes, guys.
Leave
Oh
notes.
yeah, that's
I always keep paper and pen on me at all
leave
People
times.
appreciate the
notes.
notes. Yeah.
Yep. If you want to see me stream, I'll be streaming clown stuff tomorrow at 4 p.m. EST. I stream every Sunday. I don't know if Bonk has a schedule like that, but if you want to get notified when we go live, please follow us. And then you'll know when we're going live, and you can see some Daisy Underground roleplay. Thank you to everybody for hanging out. I'm going to try to raid. I have not quite figured out redirecting on YouTube yet. I know it's possible, but I still haven't. I haven't figured out exactly how to do it right. Let me see. Is there anybody streaming on Doug right now that I can send people to? Maybe?
Maybe Greenie. I don't know if he's on. Last
don't
Chuck.
see
Is there?
Chuck is on?
I
No, don't see
think Keith, the
No.
journalist, Lil Puff, may be streaming on Doug.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
We could go over there and say hi. Perhaps,
Hell yeah.
perchance.
I'm down with that.
His title says he's in there, so hopefully that's correct.
Yeah, looks like it.
All right, so
Oh, sweet.
we'll raid.
I'm gonna do the same thing.
We'll raid Lil Puff and say hi. Let me make sure I type this in correctly. I'm listening to La Seraphim on this ad. Very cool. Like them. All right.
Oh, is that the Overwatch thing?
It's the Overwatch 2 collab, their second one with La Seraphim.
Yeah, every ad is always that song. That's been stuck in my head. Can't get it out.
And I'll link. I don't know how to redirect to somebody on YouTube yet, so I'll post Lil Puff's Twitch link in the YouTube chat for you guys, so that if you want, you can go over there, follow them, and say hi. And I will see all of you over there. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and have a good one.